Your, your bare feet run comfortably on the mossy ground. The thick forest teems with life, and though you run as fast and as hard as your body can carry you, you do not tire. Your legs are strong, and your lungs are full. Only a few strides ahead, a woman leads you through this ancient place. We must activate it. If they destroy El Hadar, all will be lost. Stone markers, smooth and black, stand ahead, marking a sacred place. A barbaric form screams with fury, exploding into view on your right side. Her skin radiates a warm light. She gracefully strides forward as she brandishes the blade to clear the blood. The muscular body, coarse-haired and scarred, falls split in two. The moss quickly covers the warrior, hiding the wounds to grow a deeper purple. Voices are heard, approaching, clumsy, crude and vulgar, threatening to stop you. The ageless woman leads to a clearing. Her long robes do not hamper her gait. Her feet cause ripples in the pool that shimmers before you. She prepares the device, a metallic sphere. Stepping further into the pool, no deeper than her shin, a flowing spout of water forms into a pedestal, ready to receive it. The El Hadar, floating 5 feet high, begins to hum and spin. I need more time, and the hounds are here. You must stop them, or they shall ruin everything. A whistle, and a man appears. Another whistle, and another man, and another, and another. The tune, at first a pretty 3 notes, now sounds dissonant, strident, shrill, layered one against another, clashing in every key as hundreds of barbarous forms converge upon you.
And we're live! Hello all, and welcome back to the INVICTUS stream. My name, as always, is Mr. Harlan Guthrie, and I am here with my ecstatic friend David. Show us your ecstatic.
Ooh.
Ooh. Yeah, I know.
We are here with my junior friend Justin with a natural 20 up in there.
It's right there. It's
Close enough. We are here with my alienated brother Alex.
I don't feel welcome.
And I was going to say cancerous, but some other C, Chris. And we are back on this Wednesday night with a long-anticipated and awaited return to the realm of Numenera. That's right. It must have been well over a year now that we entered this world of Numenera, which uses the Cipher system by Monte Cook Games. It is a game close to our hearts. It's one of the first ones that we ran that sort of broke us out of the traditional narrative sense that we're sort of always been very comfortable with in the D&D style. So I am so happy to be back here. I'm so happy that we're back here being run by Chris, who ran the first Numenera game. And he's even got his flagon of pale ale to
I was so excited I couldn't even pronounce my first words.
But you know what? We'll cut that out. We'll cut it out. I'll just start the video a few seconds later. So you know what?
That's fine.
It'll be a little bit of like a behind the scenes blooper reel. No, we don't want bloopers. We're professionals here. All right. This is of course an 18+ show. It's not going to be as 18+ as say Revenant, where I think we had you guys swimming through bile, bloody, infested waters. No. This is sort of the softcore porn channel of 18+. There's going to be a few boobs, some swear words, but you're not going to see any push or any dick. Lots of romance, lots of love, lots of Harlequin stuff going on tonight. So is of course, please keep that in mind. If you're not comfortable with that, you go ahead and you shut the video. We'll totally understand. But before you do, you make sure to please give us the respect of liking our video. Now, I'm not going to tell you to smash that like button and subscribe.
No, I will smash that button.
Just to suck up, like does. But no, if you don't like it, you don't have to like it. But don't dislike it. To me, that takes an extra bit of oomph. You know what I mean? Like you can watch a video. You say, this isn't my favorite, and you just walk away. You kind of just back out of it. Yeah. But walking up and disliking is like punching the guy on the street, right? Like someone gets hit by a car. You don't want to help him. That's fine. Just go into the crowd, but don't walk up and bang the guy in the jaw and then walk.
Don't be the bigger man. Don't press that dislike button.
Be the bigger man. Disliking is for Nazis. Yeah, anyway, so this is, of course, an 18+ show. If you're uncomfortable with it, like it and move on. Also, if you like our stuff, share, not just Sunny and. I mean, get out there and tweet it and like it and go on Facebook and share it with all your friends because it makes us feel really special. If Mycl was here, I'd let him tell you why it makes us feel special. He's not with us right now. Also, if you're watching this, please go ahead and join the Facebook group and like the Facebook page. They're two different things. The Facebook group is where we get together and hang. It's sort of like a mass orgy without the sex. We get together in a big pile. We hang out. We talk. We share stories and ideas about RPGs and us, which is my favorite subject. And when you join the Facebook group, you get a chance to win MVP, which is a way to be rewarded for watching the show through things like XP. XP can be spent during the stream to affect the way we play, and probably doubly so tonight, if I'm not mistaken, Chris, because, you know, XP was sort of invented for the Cipher system, frankly. Am I wrong there?
No, you're absolutely right. I know where you're going.
Am I wrong?
I support you.
I appreciate that.
It's the first time I've supported him in everything he's planned with the Invictus stream.
Ever. I wanted to propose
head on every idea. This is the first one.
Get it.
Go right ahead. I trust you.
I asked him about my circumcision. Believe me, biggest regret of my life. He said he supports me. Shouldn't have done it. So XP. Well, the point is XP can be spent tonight through the Facebook group. You'll find out why in a little bit. But ways you can win: mid-game, end-game, and MVP. MVP is something we're awarded at the beginning of each game where we scour over what's going on this week in the Facebook group, and we reward the person who posted the most interesting, the funniest, or just sometimes the most entertaining post. And this week, I would like to announce it to, I believe, a first-time winner, Mr. William Miller. I know. Yeah. Underdog. We're not going to la-la land this either. I'm not going to switch it halfway through. What we're doing is rewarding William for his hilarious post. Now, again, look, you just have to share it. You don't have to create it all the time. He shared a really funny post, which was multiple pictures, and it ended with a video. And if you haven't seen it, check it out. It's pretty funny. He shared it from another nerd group. I can't remember the name of it right now, but it made me laugh. It was really funny. There were a lot of great conversations, but you know what? Sometimes, especially on stressful weeks, it's Alex.
It was
you
the one where
best.
It was the one where he comes under this. He says, "Oh, there's a spider that sneaks under the door," and the guy rolls a wand.
Don't ruin it.
Well, don't ruin the joke.
Well, no, so they know what we're talking about. God, I was going to do the whole thing.
I'll look for William Miller and the thing. The people's going to share it. This will be like, oh, by the way, the cowboy was blue. That's the punchline of the joke that you haven't understood yet. Anyway, William Miller, well done. You win. And it was well deserved. Now, remember, make sure to check out halfway through the game where we'll stop the action and jump over to the Facebook group to do the mid-game post, which will be a question about tonight's game. So take a lot of notes. And the end game where we'll finish the game and we will reward the most useful, helpful, sometimes just funny comment throughout the stream. And you can win that by talking during the YouTube live chat or during on the Facebook chat. Either one are totally... What the fuck is so funny, Justin?
I'm watching the video now. It's funny. You should watch it. You should watch it if you haven't. It's a picture of Gary Gygax. It might be misleading. It does have to do with the spider, though.
Yes. It took me a long time to understand who that guy was, to be honest. I have no idea. I had no idea. And then I Googled it when I was making all those fake tweets. Like 2 weeks ago when I was really bored at work and I was making all these fake tweets about how everyone was tweeting us with that same thing that one company tweeted us. And I made one of, I was like, who invented D&D? And I Googled it and I was like, Gary Gygax. I was like, oh, that's that guy.
I feel like we lost all reputation.
We did. No, but this is on me because everyone knows that I am the most ignorant when it comes to RPG and just generally rules about RPG. I am the fucking the sleuthing pod for that.
I don't know. I think I might got you beat there.
Actually, you know what? That's true. I'm not the worst.
Yes, this is what I want. Before I run a game, you guys to compete at who really
is the worst at doing it. Yeah. But I think I counter that out with talking the loudest, so I think that balances. Anyway, Gary Gygax's picture. Go watch that. William shared it. It was very, very funny. So again, make sure you check out at the end of the stream and help put useful information and stuff like that because that's how you win the end game experience points. Oh my God, guys, what's so fucking funny?
Read the chat.
What? This is important?
Apparently.
Michael Capado posted it 6 hours earlier than William Miller. Oh. So this week is a mid-game double feature.
That's funny.
So what happened was, what did we say about La La Land?
The nature of the
So no, but this is important. So the Oscars were like whatever 2 weeks ago. I didn't watch them this year. I love movies, but I don't really care about those. And for anyone who doesn't know, if you live under a rock, when La La Land was announced, it was mistaken, and Moonlight actually won. So Moonlight got dragged up on stage. Did you really not know that?
No, I knew that. I knew that.
Oh, okay. Just acting along to make the story more engaging. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Ultimately, Moonlight actually won, and true to form, as for whatever reason I mentioned La La Land, it turns out that William Miller, yes, he did in fact post that, but actually it was after Mycl, was it Capato?
That's what it looks like. Yeah,
posted it. So in traditional Oscars fashion, but you know what? I'm not going to be that guy. We'll split it. 1 XP to half XP. No, 1 XP to each William and Mycl for the cumulative post that won this week's MVP. Well done.
Can we please get a meme somewhere? Thank you.
What's that?
Can we please get a meme posted in the comments, please, about that?
Yeah, that was weird but just more in line that I mentioned La La Land and that happened. That's really I quite like that.
Yeah,
that's very interesting.
It's just Warren
yeah. Just to make it a little more 2017, which everyone blames it on this year. La La Land got announced 2017. Another person died 2017. Fuck this year. You know what, guys? It's a year. It doesn't know who's when a 67-year-old actor dies from complications. It's terribly sad. But you don't blame a year. It didn't do anything. It's just a year, guys. It's not a thing.
And that's what I love about Numenera, because in Numenera you can blame a year. Numenera is so crazy.
Damn that 8th world.
Damn that 8th world. It's all their fault. Although even in Numenera, they do hate the year 2016. They know it was a billion years ago, but they still hate it. Anyway, so well done to William and Mycl. Any game, please check out and help out for the end, meaning help out our players. That's how you win it. And make sure you listen for the mid-game post. Other than that, that is it from me. I think we should throw it back to Mr. Chris Viseau. What's wrong?
I just want to do a quick shout out to David.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm going to lock it on you and I'll shut up. Go.
I just want to do a quick shout out to David McDowell because he couldn't make it to a show. It was the music, kind of like a musical experience of the music from Game of Thrones. And he sent me the tickets, which I think is fantastic for me and my wife to have a great night. So thank you very much, David.
Woo! Is it worthy of a round of applause? Sure.
That is very
it's worthy. Generous. Damn straight it is. I also want to shout out to my baker. Gave me an extra donut when I ordered 12 this morning.
Oh, that's the baker's
bar for being a good guy. Anybody else? Anybody else?
All right, let's get to the game.
I'm just kidding. Hold on. I don't want to downplay David. He's a really sweet guy. I do appreciate that. I was just being funny, David. Please don't. You're a big guy. You're strong. He's much stronger than me too. He's like built.
Yeah.
He's much stronger than you, Chris. Is what I'm trying to get at.
Uh-oh.
Harlan's character dies.
Suddenly.
All right, let's do this. I'm gonna do a round of applause so it throws you back into there. Numenera, the return. Well, you need to subtitle this, I think, Chris. Like something to
world
make it feel, but make it feel separate then, because I think, without giving anything away, I think we're doing a sort of a separate story from our previous tale, right?
Yeah.
So what's the subtitle of this one?
Right now, off the top of my head.
Off the cuff.
Off the cuff of my head.
Off the cuff of your brain.
Let me just get my head cuff. What are we waiting for?
Chris isn't always off the cuff. He's on the cuff. Let's just call it a generic return to Numenera.
The ninth world. Return to the ninth world.
Sure. So Numenera, return to the ninth world, because Return to Oz sort of had a whole different sub story anyway. Same character, but okay. Chris, take it away.
The four of you stand there, facing a horde of barbaric men and women, all brandishing horrible-looking weapons, ready to tear into your flesh and crush your bones. But fear not, because you are prepared. Your bodies are fit, you are strong, you are covered in armor that you're sure can protect you. Brandishing weapons of ancient power, all of you stand between the ancient woman in the pool, trying to get this cipher ready, trying to get this Al-Hadar she spoke of going, and she needs time, and she needs you guys to stop them from attacking. Now, I want you to go first, because your reaction time is so much greater than theirs. The first barbarian comes up to you, Justin. Now, you are ready with a weapon. What weapon do you carry?
I actually do not carry much of a weapon, just a walking stick. But I
Bear in
am
mind,
able to.
these are not who you're going to be playing in the ninth world. This is long in the past.
Oh, right. Okay. So I'm holding a big glaive. I'm going to use a glaive. You know what that is? It's like a big long
tell me.
axe.
Cool.
It's a long pole arm that at the end of it is a blade, but it spins around like almost like a helix, and
What's a helix?
rotates some sort of
Spiraling
shape.
down.
All you have to
Yeah.
go is you don't know what a helix is?
This game-
If you don't know,
It's a part of a roller coaster.
So as this horde of barbarians are running towards you, you see that the first ones are going to connect with you, Justin, and you take this weapon, this huge weapon, and you take a swing at them. Can you roll a 1d20, please?
I can.
Starting in the middle of action, eh? This is awesome.
I rolled a 1. Or a 1 level of success, I guess.
So, and as they run towards you, you do connect with several of them, going flying into the background, into the woods that you emerge from, some of them smacking into these huge stone monoliths of black, smooth rock. And they just shatter, and blood drips down into the mossy floor beneath. And that purple moss I spoke of creeps in and covers where the blood was. But unfortunately, more and more of them are coming upon you close enough now to attack. Harlan, can you roll for me, please?
All right. 18.
And what weapon do you have?
I got the fret pole.
Pardon me?
You don't know where the fret pole is? Oh, come on, give me a break, mate. It's a fret pole. It's a big pole with a big metal fret on the end of it.
Okay. So as they are coming towards you, you can see the nearest one to you has this massive looking hammer, and he's frothing at the mouth. His dark skin is uncomparable to that of you and your companions. You guys all have a very smooth complexion, and his is all worn and tightened from years sitting around a fire and smoke. And he's coming at you screaming, and you swing your weapon at him, connecting. Now, you send several of them flying. Your first one, actually, your first attack, splits the man in two, and he falls to sunder at your feet. David, many of them are attacking you now. Can you roll?
Yes. I'm not French.
David,
14.
as
Do you
you
see that? Okay.
no,
sorry.
you don't. It's okay, no problem.
Okay.
So again, you connect, no problem, and none of them manage to make their way to you. What weapon are you wielding?
I'm using a Reamer spawn.
Okay, describe that for me.
It is essentially kind of a pole.
Thank you.
Kind of a pole. No, just with about exactly 19 blades on it.
Wow.
Yeah, and I
Okay,
take
so
it
it's like ready to tear into the flesh, and you do, and
Yeah.
you're moving swiftly, almost inhuman, perfect agility as you swing one after the other, and they all are all dying around you, and none of them manage to make it to you. Alex, roll.
Oh shit. 11.
Again, the
Ooh.
hordes are pushing in on you guys, and though you try, and you do manage to take down like tens of them, they're falling at your feet one after another. They are still pushing you closer and closer to the pool of water. Justin, unfortunately, you are overwhelmed. And as you guys fight valiantly to protect the woman in the pool, and you hear the hum of the cipher of the Almahadar getting ready, you feel the hands upon you, reaching their claws into your flesh and start ripping you apart. And you see your companion torn to pieces, limb from limb, from these pieces, from these barbarians. One after another, you fall, lying softly into the ground, covered by moss. And you see these barbarians crawling over your bodies as you see the moss start to close in on your vision. And the woman in the pool turns to them, ready. She brandishes her blade again. and she slews one after another. All dying, all falling, but not before one does make a devastating strike to her face, and you see a cut, a line of light emerge from her pure skin, and she staggers, exhausted. The black waystone closest to the pool fractures into 1,000 shards, flying in all directions to surround the pool, poised in midair. A form as perfect and radiant as the ageless woman steps forward, over your bodies, towards the pool, over the deep, deep purple moss. It is too late, Varda. The Elmhadar has awoken. The ageless woman spits these words, a seam of light down her smooth face. It is all right, Menway. What you have begun can be stopped. The man replies in perfect serenity. Reaching down, he pulls Menway, holding her submerged in the spout, and looks out into the sky above. Shard after shard fly in through the air, piercing the water and Menway beneath, till nothing but her light from within shines up and out of the pedestal. Alone, he reaches for Elmhadar. The water stills. Varda walks away. Pausing, he puts down the sphere. Looking at his shaking hand, bringing it to his head, he wipes his brow. Fear and wonder fill him. How can this be? Calais do not sweat. Justin, of the four of you, who has the highest intellect?
Are we talking
No,
centuries?
you're centuries later.
I have 19 intellect.
Wow.
And you, Alex?
10.
Harlan?
Only 14.
And you, David?
11.
And Justin and David, do your characters travel together?
Yes.
Then you are the
Though
first
reluctantly.
to come into the Great Chamber. You are hunters of ciphers. You seek for your own means to survive these ciphers, these artifacts from ancient times. And this great underground dwelling, which you've come across, has been ravaged by other hunters of ciphers through the years. But you managed to find, behind a panel, a wall of wires that you can actually traverse through. And as you do, you pass through conduits and conduits of these rooms of pillars until you come into this great chamber. And grasses and leaves and plant life has grown into this chamber. And in the center, you see a cylinder with a device ready to be taken, a cipher of great power. Do you approach?
Have you ever seen anything like this place, Ren?
I've seen a lot of places, but this is definitely different.
This isn't the back alleys of the cities you've lived in. I say as I begin stepping down the glowing steps towards the pedestal. We should exert caution. I do not know what type of magics this thing wields.
The hair on your arm sticks on end, and you hear a crackling in the air. Harlan, your character appears in the middle of the chamber next to the other two.
Yes. Oh. Hello.
And the device that you had used to teleport here.
I slipped
Not sure what it was. You had used it and activated it.
Yeah.
Now it's useless as it disintegrates in your hand.
Oh, bother. Yes.
At the sound, at the loud cracking of someone apparating right beside us, you see me, Oshanu. He has a big, he has some sort of orb in his hand, and he's ready to shoot it at you. And Ren, are you poised for danger as well?
Yeah, but I'm kind of hiding behind you a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
I say, who are you? What brings you here? How did you even get here?
Oh, how peculiar. What is that? Is that Is that the ball of
Take
energy?
one step closer. It is a ball of energy, but I tell you, do not step one step closer.
No, of course not. And my feet
First-
don't move. And the creature before you, I'm standing 7 foot tall, is almost looks like what you would think is a fish. Sort of. I have large black eyes and a tight mouth without lips with sharp teeth, and yet the voice coming from it is almost very proper. Oh, interesting. Sorry. This is an interesting task. Is this a weapon of sorts?
Do not touch that either. Just stay where you are.
Yes,
Now,
yes,
you-
of course.
You all have been looking for ciphers for one reason or another, and this one here piques all of your interests. Now, some of you are here for money. Some of you are here for other reasons, knowledge, maybe even power, but you all have an inclination. You all want this cipher for yourself. And as you take these steps forward, what is your name, or Harlan?
Eddie. Well, Jack's crown Eddie Edison, but Eddie is easier for the human tongue.
So Eddie, as he walks forward, he feels a caressing sensation as the grass beneath his feet actually almost rub against him under its own free will.
I believe
And you notice
grass
at the
moves on
far
its own.
end of the room a large archway. And just stepping out, almost from a mirror-like substance that is now liquid, you see Alex. And his name is Keegan.
Hello.
Keegan, you emerge into this chamber with a creature and 2 other humans, all standing around this pedestal and this cipher that you've come to get.
So I'm just trying to wrap my head around where we are exactly. So there's grass on the ground.
There is, and yet you have been traveling underground for a good amount of time, you believe.
Are we still underground? Is there a ceiling?
You are still underground. This
Okay.
chamber is unlike the other ones that you've traveled through. You've traveled through halls and halls of conduits and mechanization. You've seen contraptions of ancient past that you're not sure how they function and what their function is. But this is exactly the type of place you would look for ciphers. And this is the first room that is unlike the others.
And as the new man walks in, I turn towards him and hold this orb of energy in both hands now, turning my head back and forth between the 2 of them now.
I believe that is a weapon, actually. And I, again, sort of lean forward looking at your hands, which are glowing.
I say with a strong, focused, and firm, yet friendly voice. Now. Take a step back, all of you. Relax. There's no enemies here.
Now, first thing you recognize, Keegan, is actually you've seen these faces before. You've seen them in Pandora, a town that you often visit, especially when you find a cipher of some value. You go there to sell it. Now, you've been sent by a man there, a merchant that really pays top dollar for ciphers and often can identify them for you. You've come for that reason. You've come to find ciphers to sell to him. But you've seen them there also selling ciphers. So you do recognize these people, at least fellow cipher hunters.
And if you'll permit, Game Master, to move this story
Call me
along
Chris. It's all good.
in one way or another, I would like to insist that maybe I played a role in bringing these 3 beings together, looking for this cipher, so that we can all work together for the greater good.
Okay. Well, let me present it this way then. It is not uncommon for the name of the market, the contact you have in the market, Orthus, to send multiple hunters for the same device, especially when he's greedily looking after a device. You were aware of this, and you didn't have too many leads on how to find this, and so you followed them here. You had a pretty good inclination where this archway leads, the entrance that you came through. And based on where you saw these other men go, you actually followed into this chamber. Now, you believe that, in all fairness, because of the work that they've done to uncover this cipher, they deserve a part of the cut, but you're not willing to give it up. You want it for yourself, and you want to bring it back to Orthus.
I have traveled far and wide to find this item, and I'm not going to give it up.
I know you have.
I haven't come that far at all, actually. I don't mind. And I quickly walk into a corner of the room and begin studying the wall.
I know you've all come far, except for you, Eddie. I
Yes.
didn't know that you didn't come far, but
It's all right.
here's what I propose. In fact, I followed you all here, and I'm glad that I did, because I feel that there is a better way for us to all work together and profit from each other's abilities and virtues, and at the same time find these ciphers that we are consistently looking for.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Who are you anyways? Ren, do you even know this man?
No, but I get the sense that I can trust him as much as I can trust a man.
Keegan,
Seriously, he just walked out of an archway. Can't
Well,
trust
you
men that
walked out of an archway once too.
Keegan Oshanu asks you who you are. Who is Keegan?
I am Keegan Farengard. I am the youngest of the Farengard clan, and I have now been on the road for several years as a fellow explorer, just like yourself, making my way among the ruins and rabble of what is now mankind.
So you want this item for yourself as well? You intend to sell it?
Well, of course I want this item, but at the same time, I'm proposing that we share it and we sell it and split the reward. Now, what
Eddie,
say you?
As you're walking around the room and you hear all this stuff and you're observing things one after another, can you just do a roll to see if you perceive some of the things that are in the room?
Oh, 19. And actually, as you say that, funny enough, you say
Did I
that,
say
I walk.
I meant Eddie. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. As I'm speaking to these folks, I'm walking in a very distinct and in a distinct manner with my arms behind my back and not in a threatening way whatsoever. Just a matter of fact way.
Relax.
Go add to this again. I forget.
You can add effort if you want to. It would be your intellect points
Right.
if you want.
No, I'll just take.
You'd have to do it before for the future. Sorry, go
Yeah.
ahead, Keegan. What did you say, Keegan?
Oh, I was just saying that. Yeah, I'm walking around in a non-threatening way, saying what I'm saying.
You look very relaxed, as if you know what you're talking about. Ren, do you think he's lying to us? I whisper to Ren.
I get the sense not, but I'll keep my senses alert. There's nothing threatening about this man.
I continue on. I feel that we all have our own abilities, as I mentioned earlier, and I think we can all benefit from them. And with that, I flex my body, my strength, and I employ my magnetism.
Okay.
Now, I don't know how exactly this works.
So are
but-
you using? Let me get this straight. You're using a cipher.
No, this is my focus.
Okay, so you're trying to convince them that you are a kind of a, like in a political way. You're trying to make a good impression upon them.
Yes, exactly. Now I rolled, but I don't know if that necessarily. If I have to roll high or low, ultimately I can move.
I'm just going to say this, Alex. I think you're going to have to convince them as you're not going to just be able to convince them.
Well, put it this way.
Now, if I-
Eddie, who's searching around the room, is constantly sort of listening and seeing from the corner of his eye. And as you sort of do some weird flex, show me what you're doing.
Just like flexing, like my
No, I
upper
want
body.
to see it. And so Eddie sort of
You guys are brothers.
he snaps back, and he sort of walks with his arms at his side. No, and he walks over and says, "Now, that is an interesting move. What are you trying to convey here? I'm instantly drawn to you for some reason."
Eddie, are you wearing any metal?
Yes, I have large Vellin scale armor. It's again, I'm much taller than all of you, so I'm sort of looming over you, looking at you, sort of like an insect. It's very, very, very interesting that you're doing this. Why do you do this? What does this move mean?
And as I do it, perhaps you feel a slight pressure against the metal plates on your chest.
Well, my chest is actually, exposed. So, okay, I would definitely feel something on my chest if that's what you're trying to get.
As if I've got my hands up against you and I'm pushing you or pulling you. Maybe both. Maybe it's a slow kind of a wobble feeling.
Okay.
So you have the ability to manipulate metal, is what you're saying.
Yes, but
I see what
at
you're
this
saying.
stage, it's very low. I can push, I can pull, I can lift.
Oh, interesting.
Okay.
But
in
not
that case,
use it
it
as a
doesn't,
weapon.
it doesn't work. In that case, I apologize. I didn't realize it was metal. My armor would be like scale, and actually my chest is open. It's uncovered.
Okay.
Because I'll explain why after.
Is anybody
Shadow? Are you guys wearing any metallic devices?
I'm not wearing any metal, but I do have a coin purse that's starting to rattle, I guess.
So your coin purse, after this guy tries to convince you he's trustworthy, starts to kind of levitate towards him.
And I snatch it and I hold it back against my waist. I've seen tricks like this before, Ren. He can control metal in a way. How do we know we can trust you when this is happening right now?
As I said before, we all have our own abilities, perhaps powers, intellect. Clearly, this fish man over here knows.
I'm sorry. What is fish man? I'm not sure I'm not sure I understand.
What is your species again, Eddie?
I am a Vargellin, and I turn towards the other two as well. My name is Jax Kerr Ettison, but the few humans I have met called me Eddie for ease. I am a Vargellin.
Eddie, as you're explaining this, you are witnessing this little creature crawling out of like a nook in the worn away ancient walls. You see it come out. You're still talking, and your laser focus is on this creature, but you're still able to talk to them as this happens. This creature has almost its eyes are really far apart, very wide, big eyes, and they glow. But it's no higher than a foot tall. It has very pale skin, and it yawns. And you see a whole array of like almost human teeth. These big eyes and very gray skin. It looks at you and walks around and starts walking in the room as you continue talking.
That's very distracting, and I walk over to it.
It kind of walks up to you and sniffs.
And I grab it by its neck, almost like it's a tool. Just kind of pick it up, like with my large hands.
Yeah.
Matter of fact.
As you grab it, you notice that its fingers are kind of sharp. They go to these tips, and you see it looking at you, and it sneezes, and this puff of clouded smoke comes into your nostrils.
Ooh, oh,
You're gonna have to do a roll.
Sure. For what is this? Might speed?
Well, it would be an intellect save.
Okay. So I will. And how does?
So it's just like any other roll. I have a difficulty based on the level of the creature
Right.
and based on what's happening.
Okay.
And
So
you can use effort if you want.
So I'll use effort because
Now,
I have
if you have
edge.
any advantages against any toxins or poisons or biological type thing, then I will give it to you.
I don't think so. No.
Okay.
No, I wouldn't think so.
All right.
So okay. So I will lower by 1 tier. So my intellect will drop to 13, and it's whatever. You know how that works. I don't remember. 6. That's not very good.
Well, actually, you do feel a little something, almost a little bit of sleepiness come over you, but you pull through.
And
but it's enough for your weakness to reach your hand, and you drop him down to the ground.
oh, okay. And then all I'll do is, as he drops to the ground, is I'll draw my blade and I'll kill it.
Okay.
Again, very cold, not in a methodical way, just sort of
Right, almost like squishing a bug.
just like swishing a bug. So it's like, oh, and I will roll. 16.
No problem. What weapon are you using?
My great sword, which is called Galpuk.
So
in the Vargellin vernacular.
this great sword sinks into this creature.
It's a bright blue blade, unlike any steel you've ever seen. It's Vargellin made, so it's sort of like energy almost, and it just draws from my back and cleanly cuts like a lightsaber
this minuscule creature, this foot-tall creature who yawned and came out and looked at you and sneezed on you, you cleave in two.
And I bend down and then start looking through its guts a little bit to try to find the sack that sprayed at me.
Okay. Okay, we're going to come back to you. What are you guys doing over by the Cipher?
So as this is happening, I whisper back to Ren, well, you can get it. You can get it. I'll try to distract them. And I gesture to the object in the center of the room. And then I start walking towards Keegan. And I say, you say we all have different powers?
Yes, and I've been studying you all very carefully from afar. Ren, and I point to Ren, with his back alleyway abilities to sneak around.
What has Keegan learned about you? What kind of person are you?
Ren? Well, his past is kind of scattered, and many people know many different things about him. But essentially, he grew up in the back alleys of a large city in the Ninth World, and learned quickly that with his speed and his abilities, he could steal ciphers and sell them for profit. It didn't matter what they were or what the consequences were necessarily, but just as long as he was able to keep on living. And he met up with Oshanu and was able to turn that cipher hunting into a more lucrative endeavor because of the teamwork.
Okay, Keegan, that is what you know about Ren.
And I continue to say, as you remember, Ren, perhaps you may or may not, but we have worked together in the past. As well as I know that you and Oshanu have worked together in the past. Isn't that right, Oshanu?
I do not know how you could keep such good tabs on us.
Eddie, you find, as you eat through the flesh, a sack that you assume contains the same fluid that was exposed to your nostrils.
And I take my backpack and I put it beside my books in my backpack.
So add it as one more cipher that you have. And it will cause potentially someone to fall unconscious. And you just can squeeze it and a puff of it. The problem is it will happen in a close proximity. So anything within it has the potential of falling underneath its biohazardous effect. Now, being that this creature is dead and you've picked it apart and you found the sack, your interest is waning on it.
Well, the bits that are edible, I do eat as I pick through them too, like the liver.
And as you're chewing, it is actually pretty flavorful meat, but you do find that there's only the cipher left in the room now.
And I stand up and I turn to the other three. Have you sorted it out between the three of you?
Well, this man knows much about us, and yet he's still a mystery to us.
As I told you before.
And looking between the three, I just walk up and I pick the cipher off the table.
Okay.
Hey, no, do not touch that. We do not know.
And the light that was housing the cipher drops and disappears. Holding in his hand, he has what appears to be a cylinder.
It's peculiar, of sorts, a cylinder, and I put it in my backpack, and I begin walking towards the exit.
Dude, hold on. We need to study it. We need to look at it.
And I stop and I turn.
Walk out the one exit that you came in from, Ren and Oshanu. He teleported in. And Keegan, he used the archway, a one-way trip. You all have to exit the same way now.
Yeah, and the minute he calls to me, I stop and turn around. Yes.
You say your name is Eddie, right?
Well, my real name is Jax Carr Edison, but as I said, humans tend to call me Eddie. It's a bit easier to pronounce.
Yes. Eddie, you need to be very careful with that in your backpack. I do not know exactly what it does, but... And I look to Ren, just a little lost for words.
Is there something wrong? I don't quite understand. It seems like the three of you are confused about something.
You must understand, this item is something that Ren and I have been searching for years now, and that you would come and take it so quickly. I will not lie, I do not want to fight, but...
No, I completely understand. I've been in this situation many times before. And I turn around and continue leaving.
No.
And I stop again. Yes.
maybe we could work together to find a way. Maybe we will understanding
To split the profits, perhaps, as well.
Profits? I wasn't aware there's profits in something like this.
profits only after we know what it does.
Justin, David, and Alex. Can you guys all roll a perception check?
Yes. Funnily enough, as I'm shouting and yelling and frantic, I'm trained in perception, so it lowers it by 1 tier.
I rolled a 19. My dice stream's not working, but I rolled a 19.
Yeah, sure.
Wow.
And I don't really feel the need to hide, which is my minor effect.
That's not me.
A hammerhead man? Oh, you're muted, Chris.
The thing that crawled out.
Oh, Chris, you're muted.
That is the same creature that Eddie killed, split in two. There's just another one. It's appeared out of nowhere, and it walks up to you and begins to smell you guys and look at you. And you can see his eyes have laser focus. These large eyes begin to glow and look at you, looking up and down. And it looks at you, Keegan. It looks at your foot and walks over to you and looks up at you. Takes a very sharp claw and tries to jab it into your foot. So you roll to see if you can move your foot in time.
Alrighty. Dodge it. Let's see.
Dodge this.
Okay, so I got a speed of 14. Can I do anything before doing this? I
You
don't have
can
any
use effort
edge
if you
here.
want to.
It reduces
try
that. Yeah, let's do that. I'll apply some effort.
Yep.
What does that do to my speed? It brings it down by
So
one.
if you're applying effort, your first point cost, first tier to lower it is 3 that you have to minus, unless you have an edge in it.
No. So minus 3
Minus 3.
and roll. Oh fuck.
Oh,
natural 20.
fantastic. So a major benefit. You move out of the way, and right away you recognize this creature. You know that it's something you can talk to. You've seen it before in some of your other hunts for ciphers. It is sentient enough to communicate with. And this creature most likely is looking for a particular bone in your body. It appears a bone in your foot. They are not malicious, but they are highly territorial, and they're highly strange rituals for mating. They create nests of bones, and they look for very specific size and shaped bones. So this creature has seen something in you, seen a bone in your foot that it wants, and it's coming after to get it.
Gentlemen, before this gets any more vicious, I say we leave this place. Have you got the cipher, Eddie?
Of course. Yeah. Yes. And I head to the exit again.
Might I suggest we skedaddle?
And this time, without turning around, I say, "Very well," and continue at the room.
And
David?
yeah.
And sorry, Ren and Oshanu.
So Ren first.
follow?
Go ahead.
You guys
I look at Oshanu, and without even really consulting him, I just start to follow them, because I know that my teamwork with Oshanu has been great, but I can sense something. With the idea of the 4 of us working would be even more, would be even better in terms of business wise, at least.
And
So I proceed. I go through the arch.
And as you walk away, I kind of sputtering to myself, but it could be that the cipher has connections to the geological place where it was. Oh, darn it! And I follow.
You guys make your way through the wires and the columns, and you hear behind you a creature still following, going, I need it. I come back. I need it. And it's following you, trying to follow you through the maze of tunnels and hallways that Eddie, you seem to intuitively know how to get to, but Oshanu, eventually you do catch up to him and kind of know the way, and Ren as well, because that's the direction you guys came in.
And as he catches up to me, I say, "Do you know the way out of this place? I can't seem to find it exactly."
And as the sentient creature is following me, I'm yelling back to it, "You can't have it!"
Eddie, yes, you've made it well this far. How did you know how to get this way?
I'm not sure that answers my question.
We go up.
It's a left.
We take a left here, and then we're going to walk for a little bit, and then it's going to be a right. And I'm going to use hedge magic as we're walking. I'll show you. And I'm kind of trying to impress you. And a little map appears just hovering above my hand. And this costs 1 intellect. Yes, so we entered in here. We were found in this chamber here. So if we just walk up this way, we are here right now. It's just a left, a right, and then around, circling upwards, and then out through the front of the chamber.
I'm going to roll. I'm trained in visual perception. I want to. I don't know if you can just give a character an eidetic memory, but I want to
Memorize it.
The map, just the map. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm just gonna say, so you have an advantage in that for sure. So did you roll 13? Was that your roll?
That was a 13. What does train do again?
Train will lower it by 1 tier.
Okay.
No problem, actually. A normal person would have a hard time doing this, but you're training it, and your mind is slightly different intellect.
Interestingly enough, I also am trained in geography, so I don't know if that would.
Yeah.
Do anything, but anyway.
So you do.
But I do stop.
You have enough confidence that you could lead the way if you wanted to.
But it's not his intention. He actually stops and says, "Oh, that's magnificent!" And he actually reaches out with his large hand, almost 2 times the size of yours, and he wraps it around your wrist and pulls it, jerks it closer to sort of inspect it.
I do not understand what you're doing.
No, I'm just quite fascinated by this. It's quite marvelous. It's magic.
I pull my hand away as I'm getting kind of uncomfortable.
And while they stop to talk, I catch up to them and I say, "Gentlemen, yes. We've got some small."
Gentlemen, I'm sorry. I hate to be a stickler on this, but my name is Eddie. I'm not
gentleman and Etty. Shall we move?
Can I have it, please? Please, I need it. And you see the little creature coming up behind and kind of climbing up your leg a little bit, trying to get a hang on.
And I turn down to it and I kind of shake it off. I say, "If you don't stop, I'm gonna kill you." And I lift up my arm blade. My arm blade.
Well, and don't kill me. I just need it. And he looks at your foot again. And his sharp claw comes out again.
I just continue moving.
Okay, and because of your stride, it's so much greater than this little creature. It can't keep up, but you can hear its voice trailing behind you guys. Please, I just... very desperate. Eventually, with Eddie and Oshanu Ren, who's leading the way?
I would be just leading. Well, not leading, but walking out.
Yeah, we're following.
Yeah, they can be in front or beside or whatever. I'm just keeping a steady pace towards the exit.
Bright light of sun eventually touches your face as you emerge from the entrance that you came through. The 2 characters, Oshanu and Ren, and as you look out on this hill, over this hill, you see that where you came from are these 2 mountains and a forest that lay before you, not too far, and beyond that, a desert that you guys are all familiar with. In the desert, found only by the people who look for it, only by the people who look for it, only by the people who know where it is Pandora, a market city, a bazaar of, if you can find it, if it does exist, chances are you can find it there. And you have to journey through the desert to get there. So you guys start making your way through the forest, and it's a thick jungle, and strange creatures are all around you. You hear...
I was going to say, before we get to the forest, as we exit out of the cave, I kind of jump ahead and I come out first and I turn back to the 3 of them and I say, "See, we're already working together as a team."
Yes, I suppose we are, if not reluctantly. I suppose we should get to know each other a little bit, right?
That's right. Again, my name's Keegan, and I stick out a hand.
The entire time, my stride doesn't falter just yet. I'm continually walking, but pleasant, and I agree. Very nice to meet you. I am Jacques K. Ettison, or you can call me Eddie, as other humans have.
This is like the 4th time you introduce yourself.
Well, I'm not sure if it's a human custom to multiple introductions, but it seems to be the case here. You've multiple times introduced yourselves, even though I've heard your names when you've said it to each other.
Well, it hasn't felt like a proper introduction, so let's just take a breath.
Eddie stops and says, "Actually, what would be a proper human introduction? I'm quite curious."
A proper human introduction requires all parties to agree that the introduction is happening. Up until this point, I really didn't wish for it to be happening, but now I see that I have no choice.
I know this is very good. And actually, Eddie stops and takes off his backpack, puts it on the ground, and flips it open, and you can see the glowing cipher. And he moves it aside and grabs a book and pulls it out and shuts the bag, leaving the bag by his feet. Actually, and this actually is a great chapter. And he flips to a book, and you can see in very large print, it says, Human Customs and Grievances. And he says, Greetings isn't quite covered in this book, and I'm curious exactly how it is. I want to make some notes. And he pulls what looks like a fingernail off of his own finger. And a black liquid starts leaking down his finger. And he points it towards the book and says, you mentioned a greeting is only proud when every person agrees to said greeting. And he starts scribbling madly in a weird language at the bottom.
Ren, I'm going to do a GM intrusion on you.
Oh.
Okay.
Ren?
And if you're
Okay.
if you're willing to allow it, you'll get
you was frozen.
XP.
Yeah, that was the
Sorry,
last.
if you're willing to allow it, you get an XP for yourself and one for someone else. Otherwise, you have to spend an XP, and you all start with 1 XP, so you can stop this. Would you allow
say
me
that
to
again?
do it? It's a GM intrusion. I basically force you to do something or force you into a situation.
Okay, so what's okay.
So are you willing to go with it?
Wait, the intrusion?
Yeah, you're not allowed to really know what it is until it happens.
Yes.
So you get 1 XP, and you can give it to someone else. Who do you give it to?
I give it to Oshanu.
Okay. So upon seeing Eddie stop and bite his finger and rip it off, you feel immediately queasy, and you're not sure if you can hold your luncheon. So I'm going to have you roll your D20 to see if you're able to do so. Now I'm going to put you at a disadvantage for this one.
I got a 5.
So unfortunately, you are unsuccessful, and your lunch that you prepared for yourself is coming up very abruptly and very projectilely.
And as it hits the floor, Eddie stops writing and turns to you, and he bends right down between you and the pub. Is this part of the formal greeting as well?
No.
It's part of this one.
Ren, are you all right?
I think so. I'm just glad that it's out, not in. I don't know what that means.
And I lean down to look at Eddie between the stream of vomit, and I say, "No, it is not." And I continue to stand up as Eddie stands up, and I reach into my backpack, and I hand Ren one of my rations, which I have in my backpack, my explorer's pack. I say, "Here, eat this. It might make you feel better."
Okay. And after a few seconds, I'm holding this ration as I continue to vomit a little bit, get the last bit out. I go, "Thanks. Just give me a second." And I take a little walk.
So that was Ren. As you know, him and I have been working together, and my name is Oshanu. And I watched to see that that Eddie is writing all this down, and I say, Ren and I have been looking for a long time for this cipher. You see, there is a book that I have that
You see, he stopped writing, but he is still listening intently.
There is a book that I have that reads of legends, different legends in this world of ours, and I have been reading it, and Ren and I have been investigating different myths and legends and lore, and sometimes they turn into ciphers and sometimes they do not. But I would like you to know that that cipher that you have there might be connected with one of these great legends.
And Justin, the legend that led you to this space is one of an ancient society, not the one that was recalled at the beginning of this session, just so you're aware.
Okay. Now, as
Eddie nods and says, "Interestingly enough, that's what brought me here too. Exploring the city of Graydon has always been on my explorer's quests. It's one of the 10 places I wanted to see. It seems you and I have more in common than simply running into each other in this place?
Yes.
And he turns to Ren, who's walking off in the woods, and says, "Perhaps both of us."
We all have lots in common, I say as I shiftily eye his bag and the cipher within it.
Is there something in the bag that you're looking for?
Keegan,
I have 2 other books.
as you see them talking, you see that the little friend that was following you guys is actually at the doorway, not far behind you now. And he's now accompanied by several others. There are at least 15 of these little creatures kind of pointing at you guys, and they're looking kind of nervous exiting this ruin.
I feel like they all have the same voice too.
Oh, they do. They're
Like
almost
exact-
they're indistinguishable from one another.
I need
They're all like, oh, I need that. They're all pointing towards you guys. You can see they're starting to make their way, just this massive like grave flesh kind of walking down the hill towards you guys, kind of skipping and running towards you.
And so I interrupt the two as they're speaking. I say, "Gentlemen, we can either continue this conversation and make our way to Pandora, or we can take care of this clan of annoying creatures looking for my bones." And I begin to walk
I think
away.
you are right.
Yeah.
It's good to
And
get to know you.
Shut my book and I slip it in and put the backpack on and say, "Yes, it was interesting. Odd that this was a formal greeting. Seemed only one-sided, but fair enough." And he continues walking forward.
Wait, what's your name again? Who's Jerry?
Jack Carr Edison, or you can call me Eddie, as many humans have.
This conversation is going as you guys are moving away from the temple. These creatures are going. Continue though. I think that's just funny to see.
Yeah, and Eddie's stride is very wide, so he's not really skipping. He's just sort of continually walking at a steady pace, which is covered.
You're pretty sure you hear creatures slipping in a pool of something that was left behind you as you keep going.
Like a pool.
Ow! Oh, I'm okay.
It's a little Wilhelm screams.
Oh,
You know,
I just watched bones.
Ow! Look! Ow!
It is also a formal custom greeting to share a gift with someone if you wanted to be a
Charlotte,
real
that brings
formal
me up to another
greeting.
interest. I am actually quite interested in human form. Customs and Grievances, as I said, is a book that I'm quite interested in. And he kind of looks between Ren and the other two and says, "There are a few things that I've always wondered, and I haven't been able to speak to too many humans to face it. If you don't mind, I wouldn't mind getting a few of your interpretations of some, if that's possible."
Oh, that sounds fine. Yeah, I'm eating the ration, by the way, and I'm starting to feel better. Right?
In Vargellan custom, when someone passes away, their body is recycled and used for fuel. But it seems in what you call humankind, your bodies are saved in the ground, or earth as it was. Why do you do that?
And I pipe up. I said, "Well, they used to be. I would think many, many, many millenniums ago, but now they're simply burned into a small ash and thrown into the air."
But why waste the ash? Could the bodies not be recycled and eaten, as we do in Vargellan?
Oh God!
I start to throw up a little bit again.
I have read tales of such things, but I do not think that is a custom all across the world.
But only
And
with
the
humans.
forest is thinning as you keep going. Still full of life. Still lots of insects and things flying through the air as you guys continue on. But you see ahead of you the desert is getting closer as you continue your conversation.
Ah, perfect. And so I put the question to you, Etty. What perhaps are some of the things that you've seen us humans eat that you wouldn't say eat yourself as a Vargellan?
There's nothing that I've seen you humans eat that I wouldn't eat myself. Most of the consumption that you choose to take doesn't tend to be usually nutritional value, but more for flavor, I suppose. As a Vargellan, we have no taste buds, so I'm not quite sure what that means.
And that is perhaps why you eat your dead. We humans do have taste buds, and so, as you can imagine, maybe you can't imagine taste, but maybe, and I look at Oshanu, pain? Is pain a good relation? You may not want to eat your own, for you may feel pain.
Interesting.
That is right.
It is odd that you would choose pleasure over sustenance and logic. But I suppose, as I find my way through humans, that does tend to be the logical conclusion. Whereas in Vargellan culture, it is very cut and dry with things of this. If something can be used as food, it is eaten. Whereas I've seen many humans, including some of your age, turn away perfectly good fruits purely because they are something called rotten, which I do not understand.
As he's trailing off and talking, I turn to Oshanu and I say, "As you can see, Oshanu, I mean you no harm. It's clear that I don't want to hurt creatures unless I need to. And so I don't know what I must do to show you that I'm trustworthy, but I will continue to try and prove it to you. And I hope that only we can work together. And I've been looking myself for a particular cipher, not the one that you were looking for, but something of another legend.
Ren, you noticed when you were hunched over and heaving that your feet had some grass on it, and you didn't make any note of it. But now that you're running, you're seeing your feet every so often. You notice that the grass is actually crawling up your feet.
Oh.
And it's clinging to you and kind of being carried along with you as you go.
Okay, I noticed this. Do I look around and see if it's also climbing up everyone else's feet?
And it is. Same grass
Okay.
that was inside the chamber that you started in is still on all your feet, and it's actually crawling up your legs, and you do notice that along.
I jump into a tree.
Like face first?
No. Oh, I guess that wouldn't matter. It's not the grass from around us. Never mind. Actually no, I don't jump. I quickly stop and I
So you
try to
see Ren jumping around and then not jumping.
Thinking about jumping.
How curious.
This, Eddie, is called a dance.
Interesting. Why do you choose to dance at a time like this?
I don't know. It's for safety mostly.
Eddie, do you have anything in your book?
Safety.
You can dance if you want to.
Leave your friends behind. I wouldn't say you're friends yet.
Well, because if your friends don't dance, and if they don't dance, then they're certainly no friend of mine.
Yeah.
And that's all true. Anyway, I look down and I try to I take my rapier. I have a rapier. And I try to kind of like cut off the grass that's coming out.
Or scrape it, maybe?
So you
Yeah,
start
scrape
scraping
it,
the
yeah.
grass off, and it's like trying to scrape like almost like inchworms off. And as you scrape, you smear some of them, and you can almost hear a faint "yeah" as you do it.
And I just look around. I look at everyone. And I say, "Look at your legs."
Oh, interesting.
As
I
as
do.
the shadow goes to respond to Keegan, I look down and I immediately begin to hover off the ground and start flicking everything off my legs.
Oh, dear Lord.
And
I
Eddie's a
didn't
bit
realize-
shocked by the floating too, and he says, "Oh dear, interesting. You can control."
Not that far off, only about a foot off the ground. But I see the things are crawling up my feet too, right?
Oh yeah, everyone's they're about your shin level at this point, though.
And Eddie
I
just sort of
reached down-
stands there dumbfounded for a second without moving. Oh, interesting.
I do not know what these are. They might be able to get into orifices. You might want to get them off.
I lean down and I touch my own feet and ankles where this grass is growing. What does it feel like?
It feels like a hardy grass, thick though, and you can feel it has some almost like girth to it, a little bit like a jelly on the inside.
Okay.
The same smooth texture as the grass, and you can
Almost
feel
like an aloe.
It's inching its way up. It feels almost like a little worm with a grass coating.
And Eddie bends down and picks one off and looks at it. And I'm
And it
going to
wiggles.
roll. Yeah, I'm going to roll a intelligence or intellect, I guess. And he eats it.
I was going to say, you can eat it.
All right, and it squirts in your mouth, and it tastes a little bitter, but you can swallow it.
What does it taste like?
It tastes like another. It feels like it's pretty snacky.
Another what?
It feels like you just can't eat one.
Oh, nice. So I'll eat a few.
Eddie, I don't know if you should be eating those.
I watch Eddie do this, and I also take one, and I say, well, what the hell? And I put one in my mouth. But I have taste buds. What does it taste like?
Again, it is bitter. It is bitter, but the
Ooh.
sensation is almost enjoyable. The way it wiggles and the gel and the squirty, it's like a gusher.
It's like a really ugly narflag. You just can't take your eyes off it.
And as you guys are standing here eating these crawling grasses, you hear, I'm almost there. I want it.
I roll my eyes a big eye roll.
And flicks off the rest, and then continues walking.
All right. Eventually, you get to where the forest ends, where these mountains that are causing the shade on either side, and this narrow pathway of sun that you're running in the forest comes to an abrupt end as your feet come on the border of the sand oasis that's in front of you. You know that you travel through this in order to get here. It's a strange place that you're in, that it is protected from the harshness of the dry sand that's just beyond. Now, only Oshanu and Ren have traveled through this area, and you know that it was devastating to both your sense of well-being. You felt thirsty and hungry, and it was hard to get through. And it's weird how this very straight line where the forest ends, nothing goes beyond it. And as you run, you can't stop quite in time, and you take a step into the sand, and you hear as all the grass that was not ingested falls off your body and shrivels and dies instantly as soon as you step foot into the sand. And you hear, "Oh no, I wanted it." And you see, and you turn back, and all those 16 or so gray-covered creatures stop looking at you, and they kind of aren't ready to approach that close to the edge.
Question for you, Chris. Did I have the green stuff on my foot when the little creatures were trying to stab my foot for the? You
did. It was inside that chamber, all over the floor, like almost a grass carpet.
Okay. And my if what I'm putting together here makes sense, it's the same green stuff that was happening in the previous story you were telling us.
No, it's not. The green stuff in the previous story was a moss, and it was a purple moss.
It seemed to cover blood and stuff, right?
Yeah, and it was very different.
I just want to make sure we weren't getting those. It wasn't some sort of hint.
Okay. No, so far there's no connection between what was said at the beginning. You have no recollection of it either.
I appreciate that. Yeah, no. Do you fellas know the quickest way to Pandora?
There you go.
Pandora.
Now, the thing that's on everyone's mind is, okay, so say you guys get back to Pandora. Say you guys all go to Orthus. What is going to happen? Are you going to split the profits? There's no agreement made yet.
I have been thinking that. And as Keegan is talking with the Vellin, I walk up to Ren and I say, "We have to get the item back. We have to get it back from them. We have put so much work into finding this thing, and for him just to show up at the last minute after letting us do all the heavy lifting, it's not fair. It is not."
And I agree a little bit reluctantly, because I still do kind of think that it would be best if all of us work together, and I don't take too much stock in the actual thing. And I look at Oshan and I go, "No, I know, but see this one out a little bit. I think we can slowly convince them to let us to at least hold it and inspect it and see it. But I think most important is to split these profits, figure out a way that we can keep on finding more things."
You are right. And as that's happening,
as they're talking, I turn to Eddie and I say, "Eddie,
yes,
do me a favor. Let Oshanu and Ren take an inspection of this cipher that we just picked up, would you?"
What is this favor you speak of?
The cipher?
No, favor. You mentioned to do them.
Yeah. Okay, so in the human tradition, sometimes you do something for another, simply out of the goodness of your heart. And that can be considered a favor.
But why would you want me to give them the cipher?
Well, not necessarily give it, but allow them.
And as he's talking, I cut him off and I turn towards Oshanu and Ren, and I turn to them and say, "Why do you want the cipher?"
And I look up, shocked.
And I kind of look a little embarrassed too.
Keegan mentioned he wanted me to give you the cipher as a favor.
Well, to inspect, of course.
I do wish to inspect it. Well, look at it this way. Eddie, you seem like a creature who is interested in learning about the world, about humans in particular, and our customs, yes?
Yes, it seems to me that you're a creature who's interested in learning as well.
Exactly, yes. And instead of being interested in humans, I actually have never been quite very interested in humans. I am very, very interested in ciphers. And it would mean the world to me if you could do me the, favor to let me look at this cipher and just to understand what it does and if it indeed is connected with the legend in my book. I will give it back to you right away. I just want to see it. So
and
I can
without
understand.
hesitating, he takes off his knapsack and opens it up and removes the cipher and holds it about here. He says, "You're welcome to look at it. You've agreed to give it back, and there's no reason for me not to trust you. Vargellans are very untrustworthy, but I'm not a typical Vargellan, and the three of you has shown me no reason not to trust you. Feel free to inspect it."
As you guys are talking, are you still walking? Did you stop at the border of the
I assume we
forest?
stopped at the border. That's
Okay. In that case,
yeah?
although
Okay.
the creatures did stop, you can see some of them trying to be courageous enough to walk closer to the border, but then scurry back in fear. But they are starting to build themselves up, to try to get closer.
And I hold the at arm's length.
I see the cipher in his hands, and I kind of mentally lick my lips as I see it there just outstretched before me. I could just take it and run. But I pick it up, and I do an intellect roll. I try to understand it.
And as you pick it up, Eddie walks towards town.
So
And
I can take a step into the sand. You instantly feel your lips dry
Oh.
and a super thirst come over you. And you hear that as all the grass falls off you dead.
Yeah. And he can do his intellect roll.
Okay, so I got a 12.
So in your experiences with dealing with Orthus, the main trader in town, kind of runs the Cipher market, you know that if you can identify an item, you can often ask for a greater price because you know what it does and you can base it on the price. Sometimes you realize that you're not going to get the standard price. Sometimes you're going to get more because it's a device that you've identified. Other times you have to go to him to get it identified because of the fact that he's so knowledgeable, he's seen so many, but he does it for a fee. And if you sell it to him after that, he's going to give you less. Immediately you recognize it to be some sort of beacon. It calls something. You realize that in order to activate it, you would place it down on the ground. As soon as you did, the beacon would be activated, calling something from the sky.
What do you make of it, Oshanu?
It looks to be some kind of beacon. I do not know what it calls, but if we press this button here and place it on the ground, I believe that it would call whatever being it would be to wherever we are.
Oshano, are you familiar with, are you a nano?
I am a nano.
So nanos believe in the data sphere, and they believe in ancient civilizations sometimes leaving some of their trinkets orbiting the Earth. And you think that this device communicates with those trinkets. You think it's going to potentially call some sort of attack, some sort of energy from the skies.
Is it possible that this would be a bad idea to give this to Orthus?
I do not know Orthus as well as others might. My dealings with him haven't been very personal.
I've dealt with Orthus before, Chris. What are my feelings on Orthus?
Yeah. So Orthus, he's a pleasant man. He's never seen without a pipe. In hand, it's constantly spewing the most mesmerizing smoke. On occasion, you've witnessed the smoke form into small clouds that rain smattered colors on the road adjacent to his shop. Thus, so Orthus is actually two beings, or and thus. Thus, on the other hand, is quick to anger and protective of Or. Well fed and well sedated, he seems to let Or do most of the talking. They are conjoined. Or grows out of the stomach of Thus. Thus is this big hulking mass, and he mostly lies there reclining and near a comatose state, nearly unconscious, stirring only really to eat, as the creature that is Or smokes his pipe and does the dealing. Or you trust. Thus, you wouldn't really want to be on his bad side, but really they're just in it for the profit. And they're kind of the middleman. It's like a gun trader, right? He doesn't really do anything bad himself, but he's willing to trade for the highest profit.
Yeah.
More important than that, though, he knows things that no one else would know. He seems to deal in information, and he can lead you to your next cipher often because, I mean, it's his market. He's not willing to go, especially when Thus is so lazy a lot of times.
I guess
so really go out and find it himself.
One of my biggest concerns would be where is his, and I'm probably thinking too far ahead here, but where is his beliefs? Where do those beliefs lie? Will he do anything for money? Is he going to sell this?
No, he wouldn't.
Possibly powerful thing to a bad person.
Well, let's put it this way. If it's going to hinder his market, he wouldn't. So if a bad person's going to put a huge amount of detriment to his economy, destroy his city or anything like that, he's obviously not going to do it.
Okay, cool. So I kind of have a quick discussion with Oshanu about this, and we throw a couple of conversation pieces back and forth. Just basically
while they're talking, then I would be walking towards the town across that dry desert.
Yep.
But he's still doing his inspect roll, isn't he? Or he already finished it. Right, the beacon. That's what this is all about.
Right. And Eddie is getting further and further away from you. Eddie, again, it's tough for you to get further, and the sand.
Well,
and the wind
the minute it started getting dry, a few steps in, I want to remove my finger and drop a drop of ink on the ground. Does it evaporate instantly?
Yes. Okay. And as you drop the ink, it hits the sand, and actually even before that hits the sand, it vaporizes.
So,
and just to clarify, I think. If I could be so bold, are we not? I would think we're doing this walking and talking, kind of inspecting and talking and walking.
So you're getting further and further away.
Well, I purposely left because it was sort of a significance of trust. Like I was giving it to you and then walking to town to meet up later. Like I was sort of making a statement partially.
I believe you'll bring it back to me, kind of thing.
Yeah, I'm gonna try this anyway. It sounds like it might not work, but the only spell that I have, it's called Create Water. And I can cause water to bubble up from one spot on the ground. It does for a minute, and it does about a gallon. So I don't know if it's coming out of the ground. Maybe a little bit will come out, but I'm going to try it anyway, just because when the fuck else I'm going to use exactly that. And I believe it costs probably 1 intellect. So I'll just do that.
What is it again? You're like creating an oasis?
Create water. Create water to bubble up from a spot on the ground that you can see. The water flows from the spot for 1 minute, creating a gallon of water.
That's an interesting situation, because you have like, I can create fire. Well, I can create ice. And it's like, who wins? But I'm going to give it to you because the fact that you're willing to spend 1 intellect point now.
And the fact that I can't imagine when this would be more useful.
Right. It's like, but as soon as the water is there, but you can see it's starting to evaporate a little quicker than normal.
Well, my thinking would be I would cast it at my feet, bend down, and put my mouth directly on it. For 2 reasons. One, because I am a Virgellin, I am aquatic. So this is extra dry for me.
Right.
That's why I require it to live. So it's sort of like I'm casting it to actually sort of continue breathing. And I'd do it about halfway if I could.
So you are able to. However, there's a lot of sediment from the sand, and it almost impedes your breathing. You can feel it hard on your lungs. Okay, gentlemen, you are all feeling this. You are all suffering from this dry and the heat, and you feel the wind as the sand blows against your face. Can you guys, we are all going to take a certain amount of temporary wear. So it's going to be a negative to all your rolls. I think, hold on a second. I had it here. Doesn't matter for now, but just be aware that you are facing some environmental problems.
Okay. And I turned to Ren and Oshanu. How you guys came through the desert? How did you manage?
And I look to Ren as I cough. Who's muted? Ren.
Yes. Just exert as little energy as possible. We need to just.
The hardest
What
thing
we're gonna say there.
in this situation is also that it's a mental game. You want to give up. You want to. It's so dry. You want to turn back and go to the forest where you know there's moisture in the air. But in order to get there, it's just a mental game to get there.
And I show my weakness here, and I say, "Look, maybe we should just go back to the forest. We can find a way around."
You guys are going to have to roll an intellect roll at this point to see if you guys can push on.
I'm going to exert effort.
I got a 17.
I'm
okay,
also.
I was going to say I was going to give you a detriment because of your nature, but you drank the water, so I'm going to say that kind of counteracted it.
So I'm going to decrease the difficulty by 1.
Why is that?
Because I'm
Oh,
spending.
decrease the difficulty. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. So this is my effort. Ooh, so I got a major effect, minor effect.
Yeah. So you think to yourself that you have a handkerchief in your pocket that you've actually soaked in this aloe, this really sappy substance, and you tie it around your head, and it just makes every breath that go in a little bit more bearable, and it'll give you an advantage to your next roll.
Cool.
I got a 5.
You got a 5?
Yeah.
You can see Ren start to waver. He's starting to stagger a bit, and he keeps looking back towards the forest that you came from. There's doubt in his eyes. Alex, what'd you get?
I got a 7.
Same thing. Alex sees Ren.
But I did apply effort. Sorry, I did apply effort, so I lowered it by 1 tier.
Okay, so then you're successful, but just
barely.
yeah, you're hanging on. You see the Ren looking around, and you consider it, but you're able to push on. You make it a little bit further and a little bit further, and there ahead of you, walking in the sand, is a creature at least 10 feet tall. His hands touch the earth as his feet dangle beneath, and he walks hand over hand in the sand. And every so often, you see those long hands dig into the sand very deep until his feet touch. And he comes up and pushes himself out, and there's some sort of, almost looks like a root that he bites into, and keeps walking along. And he keeps doing this. I'm kind of grazing this creature.
Oh.
And I guess I'd still be in the lead, yeah, because I crossed first.
Yep.
So I would do the same thing, because obviously there's something down there that's edible.
The problem is because he's 10 feet tall on top of these
Well, I'm
hands.
7 feet tall.
Okay, but he's got these really long limbs to penetrate the sand. And
I'll
they're
use
made
my-
for that.
Okay, I'll use my great sword.
Can't do it, Harlan.
No, he could. I'm not saying he can't, but clearly this creature who's adapted to this desert is going to have an advantage.
It's not my great sword, by the way. It's the size and damage of a great sword, but it is actually pretty thin, and it's sort of like a laser blade. It's
Okay.
Magellan, just for the uninitiated. It's not like, yeah, it's still two-handed, but it's like very light. Anyway, so I'll draw that and I'll drive that into the ground.
Okay.
See if I can
Find something.
find something. Yeah, I don't know. And I will roll, I guess. 5.
So you dig down and you're able to penetrate the sand, but unfortunately, you can't feel any different texture.
Well, how far is it to?
You think you made it about halfway.
Oh shit!
So you're probably going to have to do one more will check before you get there.
I'll probably create water again. Will that give me another benefit?
It would do the same thing and put you at the same level as everybody else.
I'll do the same thing then.
Being the type of person that I am, who's a little bit more social, I kind of jog up ahead of them, push myself a little bit more, and holler to this creature. You there? Hello?
The creature, who has these long arms as walk on, turns towards you and takes a couple steps forward and looks at you, cocking its head. Hairy-shouldered, very dark fur.
I'm picturing like a gorilla.
Kind of, but imagine really, really long tendril-like arms that he can walk on.
And looking at Keegan and sort of understanding what he's doing, I go stand next to Keegan as well.
We are looking to get to Pandora.
Was it?
Pandora.
Pandora.
Panera.
And
They have
we
great
see
bread.
we're really not made for this weather, for this heat, and we're wondering if possibly you could help supply us with one of these roots that we saw you dig up.
You see it get kind
four
of
of them would
distracted,
be more useful, actually.
and it digs its hand into the sand, sinking down to almost your level, as it almost looks like human height once its hands are dug in and it's standing on its regular feet. It pulls another tuber out, and it pushes its hand back up and begins to eat it, clearly not understanding you.
Oh, 1 second. And I put my bag down and I rifle through my bag. Now, part of my character, which was, by the way, just so anyone knows, I am a inquisitive glaive who explores deep waters. The three books were books that I was given. And just so you don't think I'm making this up, the 3 books I chose were Human Customs and Grievances, Edible Plants, Animals, and Other, and The Many Languages of the Ninth World. And I'm going to pull out The Many Languages of the Ninth World. And I'm going to roll and see if I can detect what he is. Oh, god damn. Which I don't. I start perusing through the book anyway, and I start rifling off or through random words.
So every so often, yeah. The problem is he's not speaking, so it's harder for you to find a reference point.
Yeah.
So if he spoke, he would say something that would help you.
And I say that to Keegan. I might be able to speak with him if you can get him to speak to us.
Let's see. And I say, I turn to Oshanu and Ren, and I say, hey guys, any idea how we can communicate with this creature? Even get it to speak up?
I do not know if it is wise. I think we should just try to get to the city as quickly as possible.
Yeah, I
Speaking
follow
with strangers.
Yeah, I kind of, as in a weakened state, I'm not even thinking about what's even around me, so I just keep on walking, just trying to press through.
So I'm gonna try something really kind of wacky here, and
so unlike this game.
Yeah. And I I've got a small hammer in my bag meant for like exploring, like rock climbing and whatnot. And using my magnetic ability, I would like to just kind of make the hammer float up in front of the beast and maybe get some sort of reaction. I don't know what I'm looking for, but hopefully he'll have some sort of vocal reaction. Do you think that's possible?
Yeah, anything's possible.
Okay,
It's
so
the Ninth World.
I just rolled a 10. So I mean, I don't think I need to really roll to see if I have the ability to employ my magnetism. It seems to be that I just have it.
Right. With a 10, I think you can make it levitate a little bit, we'll just say.
Yeah.
I'll treat it kind of like a cantrip, but involving metal, so you can do kind of small things with it.
Yeah. And I'm not really...
It, again, approaches closer to you and makes kind of a guttural noise. It was an articulation, a word, which would give an advantage to...
yeah, so using that, I quickly scour the book. Oh my fuck.
Oh my fuck.
One more word. I didn't quite hear that. The wind gusted through the pages. I think if you get him to say one more, I should be available. Able.
Okay, if you want to do it again, Harlan, I'm just going to... You can keep rolling, but you just got to apply effort this time.
16. I did it for effort, I guess.
Okay, so it lowered by 1 step. And you realize that he said, wow. Those were the words he said. And you understand what language it is.
Yes, this is Prospect. Here we go. Gunkar don't erbaquara.
And with the universal translator going on, what did you say?
Well, obviously, I said, please, we need your help. Could you retrieve some roots for us? It's written right here.
And he comes closer to you and says, well, I would love to help you.
Oh, we appreciate that very much. We are lost travelers. We are not quite lost, I should say. We connected to each other not too long back there. It was quite interesting. My name is Jax. Jax Edison, or Effie, as humans call me. But obviously, as you are as a Sputu, you do not need to call me. You can call me.
They're like,
and his feet gesticulate. Says, Why are you trying to leave this paradise? And his feet kind of gesture to the whole sand around it.
Well,
Beautiful here.
I understand, but I am not of this world. I, in fact, live and breathe in water. So for me, this is not paradise. In fact, this is quite the opposite. We call it something called Korktak, which is roughly translated to the human version of something called hell.
He starts to laugh in this weird kind of, and you realize that he thinks it's hilarious that someone could live in water. He doesn't believe you.
Believe you, the idea of a creature living in dry sands is just as obtuse to me. But nonetheless, I am dying. I would very much appreciate a tuba for me and my companions.
And he immediately sinks down in the sand and pulls out a tuber for each and hands it to you. And he nods, and a little insulted, but also a little flattered, he nods, goes away.
And I bend down and eat at the tuber, eating the
And
rind.
it's rich and sweet, almost like eating sugar cane. So much moisture, though.
And I imagine it's the size because he's a big creature and he has it like this and he's eating this, so it's probably going to be like pretty massive to us. Yeah,
No problem giving you enough sustenance to make it all the way to Pandora.
for the four of us.
Yeah, and as you guys reach Pandora, the first thing that hits you is the smell.
Smell?
Pandora is an attack on the senses. The noises and the colors are uncountable, indescribable, but what really leaves the mark is the smell. An iron metallic smell fills the streets, mixed with every other scent that crosses your path, but wherever you go, that smell remains. Should you have ever witnessed the horror that is the iron wind, the smell is unsettlingly similar. If you seek anything, it can be found in Pandora, and yet some people that visit often go missing. The very first place you see appears to be a bar, and it is this bazaar is known for people to be great at bartering, great at seeing a market and exploiting it. This bar is right on the edge of Pandora, and sustenance is written right on the doors, and it's just a very clever place to put a bar because people who come into the town after traversing this desert need something right away, and you are very tempted to go in and drink, but you also have the choice of going straight to see Orthus.
Without even consulting with the others, I walk directly into the bar.
And you see Eddie walk into the bar. Do you guys follow, or do you just let him go?
I follow because I know I've got some friends in there.
You almost have a hard time not going in, David, because I mean you are thirstier than anybody by far.
Yeah.
Inside the room,
I look at Oshanu. Thoughts,
and
my friend?
I look at Keegan and I feel the cipher in my pocket, and the opportunity is clear before me, and I turn towards the city, and I begin walking towards the bar.
and the party makes its way into the bar known as Oasis, that serve any number of poisons, but known best for their shog. Served in pints or half, but only a small sip will do the trick. And with that, we'll go to the mid-game post.
That's right. It's the mid-game post time. That means we stop the action, we jump to the Facebook group, and we ask you a question about the game to see if you know if you've been paying attention so far. So, Chris, why don't you reveal to us what the question for the mid-game post is going to be?
What name was the ageless woman given by the other ageless one who walked into the pool after to destroy her?
Ooh.
Okay.
I don't know if you can type that out. What name was given to the ageless woman?
I already typed it out exactly as you asked. You asked what name was the ageless woman.
Write that in there too.
Said woman. What age or what name was the ageless woman given by the other ageless one who walked into the pool, who walked in after to destroy her?
Clear as a bell.
I'm pretty sure that was transcribed as is. So anyway, so there you go. There's the question. I'm going to be posting it in 3 to now. So first person to comment receives 1 XP for the mid-game post. Hope everybody's having a gay old time. We're having a blast here, being back in Numenera world.
I'm really enjoying your descriptors, Chris.
Cool.
You know, everything is so visual. I'm there. I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah.
Smell it.
It's a strange place, isn't it?
Yeah.
912 is a bizarre place.
Bizarre.
It's nice.
And
It's nice.
David, it's nice to see your face behind a microphone every once in a while.
I'm sorry.
There you go.
Is that better?
Last scene, he was like here.
We invited you.
Was I? I don't know. I don't know. I'm sorry. Am I?
So Michael Carl Weber's first answer was bitch. I don't think that was right. Matthew said mamacita.
Not
Mike said 42. John said snarf.
maybe it's too hard. I can give a new one.
Matt said mamara.
Close.
Tim says shibboleth.
Ma'am something.
Yep. Maybe I was too muffled. Maybe I should give another question.
Well, no, but I didn't know. I had no idea.
I had no idea.
Julia Gulia.
The question is, do you would Justin or Alex or David know the answer?
They should. I mean, no, it's a tough one because it's like.
Did you guys remember that?
I thought it was Varda, but I don't. That was something else.
That's the other guy. Good for you, though.
My only note from
like
that whole
Ayala?
scene was "Don't destroy Elm Hadar." That's the only thing I read.
I was distracted because I was just listening for your line before. I was like, okay, guys, listen for this. Mimosa?
At least I know it's an M word.
Yeah.
I wonder if I mumbled it when I.
Sam.
Did Sam get it?
Sam says Minwe.
I will give it to it.
W-E.
Close. I don't think spelling really matters anyway.
No.
Yeah.
It's phonetic, anyways.
So
I
who
think
said
it
it,
goes
sorry?
to Sam La Liberté.
Menway.
La Liberté. Mine's not loading, but I trust Alex. Sam, you got it.
Minwe.
That's right. You won the answer. You're in the prize pack. It's coming to you live from our station. Please call us. Let's make sure that you win that experience point. And I'm going to add that to your sheet if I remember. So thank you so much for playing. Well done. And good question, Chris. That was a tough one.
I had to look it up.
I had to look it up too.
And I wrote it.
And you wrote it. So well done. Well done, guys. Perfect. Everybody enjoying the game out there in La La Land, Moonlight, whatever. I hope so.
I'm enjoying it. Were you talking to us or were you talking like breaking?
I don't care about us. I care about the audience.
Okay.
The audience?
Care
Okay,
about
well, we
us.
have to be quiet so we can hear them.
We're nothing but
Audience.
pawns, guys. We are tools that these people can pee on and just use for sexual
You
advantage.
don't know how to use tools very well, do you?
No, we don't. Well, I pee. Well, you don't pee on. How do you use
This
tools?
is my hammer.
Actually, you know what? I will say this though. I will say this because we have 33 viewers and only 28 likes. So those of you who didn't like, go ahead and do it, okay? Because I think at this point, if you're still watching, you obviously liked it enough to stick around this much.
Go ahead and smash
So-
that like button.
I'm not asking you to smash that. Whoa! It immediately in front of my eyes switched to a downvote.
Yeah, that was me.
You are?
That was me. That was me.
Oh,
I just think you downvoted our own video.
I was just about to start. I was just about to start cussing you out in a big way. This is gonna go 20. This is gonna go NC-17 in about 2 seconds. So yeah, please like the video because you know what? We don't get anything out of this other than just your admiration. So please like it.
Yeah, we don't have fun at all doing it.
No
I
ads.
get nothing out of this. I get nothing. No, but
Torture.
yeah, we get that. But it is nice to look at the likes and going, oh, they love me. They really love
I'm a
me.
purist. I never look at the likes.
Yeah, but honestly, can I just say something? Chris looks at the likes more than
Oh my god! Do you see how many likes we got?
no, more than any of no. I'm gonna say it because more than anybody, you look at the likes more than any of us. So Chris is a full of shit liar.
Fine.
Who are you gonna believe?
Yeah, who are you gonna believe, Chris or your buddy Harlan? All right, that's enough out of all of us. Let's go right back to the game.
You're hilarious.
Love you all, Chris. Take it away.
If there's one place that could mask the smell of the iron that lingers in Pandora, it is Oasis. The smell of sweaty BO fills the space, and yet everyone's having a good time. You hear laughter. But one thing you see that you strikes you as odd is there are these buckets all throughout the space. Some on tables, some on chairs, some just in the corner of the room. And they appear to have some weird fluid in them.
Keegan's excited.
I know what this is. I have a feeling I know where this is going. But...
Eddie walks up to the bar, men directly. As
You're not thinking it's like, remember the bucket I had in the last Numenera?
Yeah.
Yes.
I really wanted a throwback from that. I was tempted to just do that, but I didn't do that. Anyways.
Excuse me, patron, could I ask for a prompt water?
A prompt water.
Yes.
Sure. I'm sure we have prompt water. And he goes, and you see there's a huge array of selection.
Oh, right. Look at this.
And he's looking through everything. Do you mind if you come back in an hour or so? I'm sure I can find prompt water.
No, that's all right.
Do you want a Shog in the meantime? I mean, I have it on tap right here. It's in here somewhere.
Well, I'm quite keen to try. If you have prompt water, do you have a shell and ale?
Shell and ale.
Yes, or perhaps a Inuf Srat.
I'm sure we have it. It's just, and you're looking around, there are thousands and thousands of liqueurs. And
I'll do a visual perception of 16 plus, which I have a benefit in visually perceiving. So up one tier, whatever that is.
Okay.
Or down one tier.
And you see a little glint of a familiar bottle.
That's it right there, actually. If I could.
This one here, what was it called?
A shell and ale, actually, would be my preferred. I don't see the other two, but shell and ale would be
And
fantastic.
he pulls it off the shelf, blowing some sandy dust off of it.
Thank you.
That will be 15 shins. I think this is the only bottle we have.
Oh, I'm afraid I don't have 15 shins. Could I perhaps just get a small taste of it? I have 5, and I take out all 5 shins and drop them on the counter.
For 5 shins, I will let you taste it. And he pulls out a tiny little shot glass. He drops 3 drops in.
Oh, beautiful. And would I be able to have just a larger glass as well when it tends to give me mouth and I spit into it?
This is why we don't sell many of these. And he looks down, and he pulls out a glass, and he puts it on the counter. And just as you do that, a man who is standing beside you drinks whatever it was he was drinking, and immediately starts to melt and falls splashing on the floor. Oh, Frankie, why'd you come in here again if you're not going to use the buckets? Get them up, please.
And I turn around to the 3 guys standing at the door, almost shocked. Oh, gosh, did you see that?
Seems they're melting buckets around here.
Why is it that happened? That isn't normal.
You asked the bartender?
The barkeeper, yeah.
Oh, well, that's our most popular drink. That's the Shog itself. I don't know why we sell it in pints and half pints, because a sip will do it. But some people think that they can manage to make it through a whole pint, let alone a half pint. Nothing feels better, I can tell you, after you've traveled the desolate, dry sands than becoming a fluid yourself. I can tell you it feels fantastic. Dropping into a bucket, just being in yourself, just feels so good.
Well, you've got me convinced. I'll take 1 pint.
Whoa, but you don't even... What happens to other belongings if they're melted into a bucket?
Well, we ask that you store all ciphers, anything that will react, on a shelf. And you see in the back, there's some sort of chamber with very designated slots. It looks like it's synth-made material. Almost indestructible, what you see. Very expensive. And you see all these different ciphers that are almost chambered one from another, not to interact.
Like locked.
Yeah, exactly. Your other materials most likely will return. However, anything that's broken is on you. It's not. You can store it if you'd like, but whatever's lost is your choice.
As he pours Keegan a drink, I turn to Keegan and say, Keegan, I was wondering if I could ask what you mentioned earlier, a favor of you, if possible.
Of course, Eddie.
Would I be able to take
a sip of the...
No, before you do, I just want to take a small amount of that, if it's at all possible. And with the empty glass that the guy gave me, I scoop it, just a little bit of it, just enough to fill the bottom, and look at it. Thank you. And I take the 2 glasses and I head towards an empty booth.
But before I say yes, I look at Harlan's at Eddie's lips, and I'm just like, yeah, yeah, sure, Eddie.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
It's like these dry,
Thin, dry, nothing lips. And I go find a bar. I go find a booth, and I sit into it.
And you're surrounded by, there's a few buckets on either table, and you see the liquid inside kind of slur a little bit.
How interesting.
You know what? I turn to Ashanu and Ren, and I say, I really don't want to store my my ciphers, but I don't think I can drink this whole shot. Would you like just a little bit of mine?
He poured you a half pint.
I say I've done this many times before. I'm just gonna have my usual. I don't need. I'm not feeling the Shog today.
Right away, sir. He pours you a glass of milk.
Yeah.
One for me also.
And then he takes another shot and pours it inside. And you see a puff of smoke. Oh, I don't know how you drink that stuff. The milk begins to curdle instantly, and he pushes it towards you. That is the strongest stuff in the house.
Oh, mother's
One
milk.
for you as well.
Can you do it without the shot? Just
right. Just the milk. And he pours the milk for you and pushes it over.
What's that cocktail called? The newborn. I don't know.
Sustenance.
Swamp stew.
And while you guys are doing this, I'm gonna go actually get myself a drink.
If you want that Shog, no, I'm. Oh, okay, never mind.
He's getting himself a real drink.
A real drink. Oh, okay. I was gonna say.
So I
Let's
see.
wait.
So Keegan is doing kind of his own thing. He's having a drink, and Eddie is off in a booth. And so I take the opportunity to turn to Ren. I say, "Listen, now is our chance. We are in the city. We could slip away. We know this city better than Eddie for sure. And I don't know about Keegan, but we'd be able to sell it and have our shins and be gone before they even found out."
I understand, but think about what we could do, the four of us. I know you're in this to see more things. I'm in this for the money, but to continue living, you'd be able to see more things. I would be able to make more money and keep on living. And they would be able to explore more as well. I can't see this working out without the four of us, especially given the fact
name,
that,
by the way, to Mutter's Milk, because it's way better than the name I gave it. So from now on, your drink, David, when you go into the bar, is Mutter's Milk.
Mutter's Milk. Okay. And as I'm drinking this, I'm getting a little bit more vibrant in my speaking, and like not being as reserved. I'm like, just think about it. Think about all the ciphers you ever wanted. I mean, with his magnetism, with Eddie's logic, we can do
I
this.
hate to do this again to you, David, but I'm going to do a dream intrusion.
Okay.
Okay.
We don't like you.
So every time you take a drink,
He doesn't like you either.
You don't even know me.
every time you take a drink, you feel more powerful, more and more powerful. Like every sip makes you feel like you can lift 100 pounds more.
Oh, okay.
And you're pretty sure now that you've had a few sips that there's not a single person in the bar who's on the same level as you.
No one
gives you
here is on my level.
Yeah, that kind of thing. Like extreme arrogance and extreme confidence to the point where it's detrimental. So you're going to have to behave in that way for a little bit.
A little bit. Okay.
Ren, hey, we were talking. What were you saying?
Listen, we got to get these guys out of here. We got to go and to what's his face. I don't even care about him anymore. I just care about myself. And bring him this cipher ball, get our money, and get more ciphers. Listen, Oshanu.
No.
Listen to me. I always listen to you.
Why don't you keep your voice down a little bit, okay? We don't need everyone to know that we have this.
Yeah, whatever. Everyone knows we already got shit anyway. Doesn't matter.
And you see, and Let me just think about this actually. So.
Well, as
Okay, we'll go to Eddie.
as
Eddie,
Eddie's
what's-
sitting in the bar, yeah. So I've extracted the small amount in the glass that Keegan has given me, and I put it in my own pouch, like just a little water.
Oh, neat. Cool.
And then from there, I've poured the sort of thing he gave me into a clean glass and removed, turned away, opened my chest cavity, and removed a small bladder and squeezed it into the glass to sort of fill it with salt water. And put it back in, and I'm having my drink as I'm sort of sitting there looking around the bar, perceiving. And I will roll visual perception on the 2 at the bar.
Cool.
And I probably won't succeed because it's a 6.
As you roll this visual perception, you actually notice that the bucket beside you, there's kind of this sloppy head, kind of just slurped out, and is looking at you, and it kind of saw what you did, and kind of makes eye contact with you.
Oh.
And just slurps back into the bucket.
I say, are you something in there? Are you a person? Can you hear me?
And nothing. Just this water.
I
You
have
feel
some
like
questions, human grievances, if you don't mind. Maybe splosh once for yes. Are you a human? Ah, beautiful. And Eddie gets into a deep conversation with a bucket splosh.
And
All right.
and maybe we all finish our drinks. And I put my cup down and I say,
you hear people
"Shall we
over.
go see Orthus?"
Yeah, you hear people over talking at the bar and say, I don't know what I'm going to do. And you can see someone's drinking something that is not to have a good time. It's to really feel better about himself, but in a horrible way. I don't know how to describe that any better. He's from his 40s says, every crop I take out of the ground dies within an hour. People are sick. People are sick before I give them my food, and I can't even sell it to them anyways because they won't keep it down. More and more people are going to die. And he takes a
I
drink.
turn to Ren. I say, "Is this man talking to me?"
I'm not talking to you.
Are
I'm
you
just
talking
talking.
to me? Are you talking to me?
No, it's okay, Ren. We don't have to start something here.
And he stands up and he says, there's nothing you can do to me that's going to make this any worse. So why don't you just leave me alone?
And I stand up and I say, "What? I
You don't stand up. You're a bucket of
saying."
slosh.
Have you taken a drink yet?
I did, but I only got a half pint. I didn't. I
Doesn't
don't want to
matter.
turn into the slosh.
Unfortunately,
Sip and you
if
slosh.
you remember my description,
which I
Oh,
do.
no.
it said
No, you don't have to read it because you know.
I thought you only did that if you drank the whole
only a
pint.
small sip will do the trick.
Only a small sip and you're slosh, baby.
Yeah. Okay.
Bartender, seeing that you were new, he actually pushed the bucket underneath your stool ready to catch
Okay.
you. And you take
Well,
a
then-
sip, and you start
I-
melting off your stool and sliding into the bucket.
But before I did that, I put my ciphers on the table. I said, "Watch these." Okay.
And I grabbed them. I grabbed them and put them. Oh no, I can't.
Mine now.
I can only
These are
hold two.
mine.
I can hold
Actually,
one.
know what they are.
No, I can't. I can't actually because I can only hold 2 at a time.
And you have to?
I have 2. Yeah. So you leave them on the bar
Okay,
watching them.
David, that's wonderful, but you're so confident that you feel you can hold as many as you wanted right now.
Okay, so I grabbed the ciphers, kind of just like hold them close to me.
And as soon as you grab more ciphers than you should, you instantly realize they're going to start to react. It doesn't scare you, but you realize they start to react. And a smoke starts to fill the bar. A green smoke starts to fill the bar.
Okay.
And you hear a rumbling of thunder. And
you
people
hear
are looking
this
up.
from the
Drunk.
bucket beside you.
and I go,
And I stand up from the booth and I walk over to the bar to the bartender between the 2 guys and I say, "What is that rumbling in this green mist?"
Some fool is probably had a cipher on him when he went into his bucket.
and I said, "Yeah, that's it." And then I'm still holding
And the
them.
thunder, a crack of lightning as it starts to rain. And now
Inside the
rain
bar.
is actually, Alex, you feel the weirdest sensation as water is dripping into you.
Yeah. I feel like I'm being filled.
And the buckets are overflowing and people are mixing.
Yeah, people are starting to
and then
That's
finally,
a serious problem. And you see people panicking and covering their friends to make sure water
Yeah.
doesn't get.
I just kind of like nonchalantly, just kind of like look at the rest and like, all right, let's get out of here. And I pick up the bucket that
Keegan was
that
in?
Keegan is in, and we walk out the door. I walk out the door.
And before we walk out, I turn to Oshanu and I say, "Interesting. Are you done with the cipher?"
And totally caught off guard, I reluctantly stick my hand in my pocket and pull it out, and I give it to you.
Thank you. And I
Yes,
snatch it back and I put it in my backpack.
So I'll tell you what it's all about. I do believe that it's some sort of beacon, I say as we start walking out the door.
Oh, I know. And I walk out the door.
Oh, all right. And I
He's done this
follow.
before.
I follow.
How long before I become a person again?
We'll see.
Uh,
Let's put it this way. How much do you think you ingested? Like, was the gulp?
only a half pint.
You
Oh, I
drank the
guess
whole
maybe
half pint? No, you drank the half pint.
Yeah. Okay.
We're gonna say it's a good hour. But after about half an hour, you can start to corporalize a little bit, like slurp out of the bucket to make eye contact with people. Still too hard to speak after half an hour, but within 45 minutes, you can kind of peek your head out of the bucket and speak to people.
Has it been that long? So we left the bar. And
No, it hasn't. He's still slurpy mess.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So-
as you make your way through the town, people are bumping into you. There's so many people moving parts and creatures and Shexies and all these different Numenera, and you see flying overhead some sort of ship, some sort of craft.
I'm
deeper and deeper into Pandora, making your way to Orthus's shop.
just walking through them with like the greatest of ease, like I'm right back in it, like I used to be, basically weaving, and like kind of like have the bucket of Keegan in my hand, swinging it around, kind of like around people and stuff.
Okay.
You know, just nodding at people I know.
At this point, I see Ren's behavior. It is Ren, right?
Yeah, Ren. Yeah.
Okay. I see Ren's behavior as being totally uncouth and out of the ordinary, and I stop him. I put my hand on his shoulder. I say, Ren, I do not know what has come over you, but why are you acting this way?
Oh, yeah.
Why would I ever not act this way? Oshanu. Let's go.
As they're talking and the bucket of water is still there, Eddie just sort of stops walking. He says, "Well, I believe your destination is close. It was great meeting you, and I wish you all the best of luck." And he turns around and he begins heading sort of the other direction.
Listen, Eddie.
Yes.
Get back here.
And
Going to
stops.
Orthus.
And he stops. The slushing is there.
I'm standing there with like 3 or 4 ciphers in my hands with the sloshing bucket, commanding the 7-foot
I'm on his
tall,
milk.
the 7-foot tall fish man, and I'm about my size, 5'6". Or that's pretty
He's not a fish man. He's a Virgellin.
He's a
his own
Virgellin.
thing.
Hey, listen, fish man.
A 40-year-old Virgellin.
You never asked about him. There's a lot of interesting stuff about him.
Eddie, you cannot leave. You
For
cannot.
some reason, the way that the ciphers are interacting, Oshanu's voice is cracking. A rumbling sound is coming from Oshanu.
Weird.
What you did make out, though, is that he said you cannot leave.
And Eddie sort of stops and turns around. Well, this is tough to happen right now. Can you keep talking, Justin?
Hello.
Try just unplugging your mic and putting it back in. Try that. When in doubt, unplug, plug it back in.
When in doubt, pull it out.
Still fucking
bad.
You have
I think it's my Google Chrome. 1 second.
Yeah.
So,
Maybe kill it and then bring it back.
Ren talks
and
to
he
you.
dies in front of me.
Yeah, Ren says that you cannot go. Eddie, and you just stop and turn?
Yeah. I'm sorry, Ren. I think there must have been a confusion. Why can't I go?
Okay, what do you seek most?
At this point, it's the exploration of long-lost civilizations and ciphers that explore the reasons behind our existence here.
don't you realize that if we sell this cipher that you have in your bag to Orthus, we can explore together? I have the speed and the sneakiness to be able to get into the smallest places. Here, this bucket of water here seems like a pretty charismatic, strong guy.
We need to get to Orthus. Come on.
And Oshanu, my friend, who's taking a leak or something, he has just as much knowledge as you, if not more. Don't you understand that you could explore more than you ever imagined?
And Eddie thinks for a moment. I don't think our goals are aligned. It seems to me that since we've met up, how can I put this? The three of you seem very interested in selling this cipher for gold, for shins, for money. That's not of interest to me. I'd be more than happy to quest the four of us together and seek new unexplored territories. I agree very much that I think the four of us would aid each other. But it seems that the three of you are not interested in the same goals as me.
I poke my head out of the bucket and I say, Eddie, haven't you learned much from us?
Of course. And nothing would make me happier than for the four of us to continue together. If you'd like to come to my next destination, I would enjoy it very much.
And Oshanu clears his throat. Something was happening with the milk. It was creating an unnatural kind of phlegm. That made it crackly. And he says, yes, you've learned much about us. And I do want to apologize that I feel like I have not taken the time to truly get to know who you are. Because when it comes to formal greetings, a real formal greeting, it takes much longer than just hellos and saying your name. If we're truly to get to know one another, we have to spend a long time with one another, and we can go from a greeting into what we call a friendship.
I've heard very much about these friendships. They are my human customs. However, they seem to be interesting, different of nature, and they involve a great deal of trust and familiarity, something that is developed over time. Something that I agree would be very beneficial for the four of us.
It's one of the greatest bonds we as humans can make with other humans and other beings. You see, even humans make friends and grow these bonds even with other beings, even if they can't speak the same language.
Keegan speaks as he's hanging kind of half out of the bucket in the
But my understanding of friendships is that they are based on familiarity of value. The three of you seem more motivated to, and he reaches out and pulls out the cipher, to exchange this for shins than the very nature of its existence.
We exchanged it for shins to survive. Oshano here exchanges it so that he might learn more.
I
His
have
value. Go ahead, sorry.
I do have reasons beyond just wanting to know more, Ren, that I haven't told you. The gold that we could get from this cipher is gold. This is shins that we could use towards each of our goals. I have a goal of mine that is very personal to me, and maybe if we reach a certain level, I will tell you. But for now, you just have to believe me when I say that I do not intend just to use this just to become rich or something like that. No. I have other reasons.
And Eddie sort of looks at you with again, glossy black eyes, almost unemotional, and he sort of turns his head towards Ren and Keegan.
You see, Eddie, for me, it is much more than possible fortune. For me, it is possibly leading us to a place where we might be able to save our world from possible destruction. We don't know what we can find. And I'm sure you've stumbled across things with much greater power than you could ever have imagined.
Power is not something I'm interested in, though.
Not power for yourself, power to be preserved from those who might wield it for evil.
And Eddie sort of sighs. For the first time, he shows sort of an emotional value beyond just sort of odd interest. Where I grew up, in my family, there are no males and females, as I myself am neither male or female from what I've learned of humans. That's how you define yourself gender-wise, at least a billion years in the future. I was born into a family of cryptics, birthing people, I think is the most literal translation. People who helped other Vellins come into the world. This was not for me. It was something that I was not interested in. I wanted to explore. I wanted to see the world. I wanted to understand its very mystery and experience all the interesting facets of ancient civilizations. And he holds up the cipher with almost a respect and awe. To take something so pure, so innocent, and so magical and mystical, and turn it for profit, for shins, it's something that I feel goes against everything I strive to be against.
Eddie, may I propose that you join us in visiting Orthus and his shop of oddities, you might call it. Oddities in the sense of artifacts, oddities, and you might even call it a museum of sorts.
As Keegan steps out of the bucket, fully informed.
Museum. I don't actually know this word. Museum.
I shake my foot and just get the water off. Yeah, last little drips. Come, let's go see Orthus, and maybe it'll be better described for you by someone else.
I am in agreement, and I turn to Ren specifically, who seems to be the biggest advocate, that the four of us would work well together. I think exploring ancient civilizations and collecting ciphers together is of interest to me. I do want to make clear that, however, my interest is not to turn them from profit. And if this is to be sold, then I want no part in it.
You guys walk the streets towards Orthus. And as you get close to his shop, it is the most predominant structure that you've come across so far in the town. People are all moving in the direction towards Orthus. It's clearly a hub, a station within Pandora. And you see people with bags emptying them, and they're going up to these automated machines, and they're typing things in, putting the device on a scanner. It recognizes the device. And then you see bids start coming up on these panels, and the device disappears. You recognize this to be some sort of automated sales system. Clearly, clearly Orthus sells all over the world. He does it through this type of mechanism. But within his shop, you see walls and walls filled with devices with that same type of chamber, same separation that you saw in the bar Oasis. And in the front, you see the man himself, Orthus, sitting there. A huge body is thus, an oar in the middle, smoking his pipe. Knowingly, with good posture, he looks around as people smiling. He smokes and holds up weird, strange devices, shakes his head, and sends people along his way. Immediately, he recognizes you. He recognizes you, Oshanu, and you, Ren. After all, he sent you in this direction. And he says, I hope you have come with good news and good findings, sirs.
And I sort of stand back with the cipher back in my backpack.
What have you brought me? Did you find it? Was it right where I said it was? And thus stirs a little, grumbling, and you see Orr kind of look around a little bit, and he grabs from a bucket what looks to be this this lard, like really fatty meat, and he hands it back to Thus, and he grabs it, garbles it down, and kind of reclines back in his seat, scratching his sides.
Unsure of what to say, I kind of turn to Keegan. I've always felt a little intimidated by Orthus.
I'm a busy man, as you can see. There are other men who are bringing me things. Were you successful? Was it right where I said it would be?
Orthus.
And they both look at you.
You remember
Or
me?
the man with the pipe, and Thus, who was grumbling, and you can see Thus is a little bit agitated by you addressing him. Or is like, don't worry, Thus. He just means me. You can go back to sleep now.
Whatever you wish, or listen, you do remember me, yes? Keegan Farengard of the Farengard clan?
Keegan, you are often here with great devices, great Numenera for me to sell. Surely you were successful.
Yes. We have been successful. However, our friend here, the Vellin, he seems to believe that we're solely here for money. Perhaps you can explain to him that this is not only for trade, but for the better of understanding of who we are and where we come from and possibly where we're going.
I am happy to identify any items you have and news, but you know it costs you some money. I'm a businessman after all. And he takes a long drag on his pipe, and he blows out purple smoke, which swirls around you and almost beckons you closer.
No. What we ask of you now is not to identify something. We have a good idea of what it does, but our friend wants to know that this isn't being sold just for profit, that this is something that is going to that has more to do than just money, right?
And he looks, and he kind of grumbles, and you see Thus kind of wiggling his spot and looks a little agitated as this big, huge foot taps. And Or says, for me, it is money, yes, but for those people who buy it, it could be the difference between life and death. It could be a great item they want just to hang in their house as a sign of power or prosperity. They could study it. I don't care. The point is, I deal in ciphers. I deal in Numenera. What have you brought me? Do not waste my time. These are great items, and they need to be sold.
And Eddie, sort of regarding the scene, sort of takes a step forward just a little bit, not to enter sort of the conversation,
Why?
but speak to the outside.
How interesting. And he looks at you, and he recognizes you. He recognizes the species that stands before him.
I feel there's been a miscommunication. My interest is not in any way to sell the cipher, for our profit or for others. I wish to keep the cipher. I wish for the four of us to keep the cipher.
To keep a cipher, clearly, Or is a little bit distracted. He's puffing on his pipe a little faster now.
Is this
Maybe
Thus?
we could. No, this is Or. Thus is like almost in a comatose, unconscious
Right.
state. This beast of this hulking mass.
Yeah.
Or says, perhaps we can make a deal. I have yet to encounter one of your kind, although I do know of who you are. What if we exchanged knowledge, which I have a great deal of, for a sample?
A sample of what?
Well, and he reaches back and he finds a device, and you see a syringe looking, a needle, a long tendril, he says, and attached to it is a circular orb. A sample of your DNA, a sample of your blood, your life force. I know it's not blood, it's the wrong term. I've never met one of you before. May I have a sample for my collection?
And the question perplexes Eddie, and he sort of thinks for a moment with sort of a cold gaze as you kind of see his. What do you mean by sample?
Well, you must be new. We will take a part of you to keep. Not enough to harm you greatly, just a little bit. And that shall be mine. And I will study it and do with it as I will. And you will have the knowledge you seek.
I don't think that'll work. No, I'm sorry.
And you can see him shift a little bit, coming out of Thus's stomach. He shifts uncomfortably, and Thus is agitated too. You can see him stirring in his sleep. Please reconsider.
I'm not sure you know much about the Vellin,
Exactly, my friend, and that is why I'm willing to part with very important, very esoteric knowledge.
I believe, and I sort of look to my friends, sort of concerned. Again, the first time you sort of see my eyebrows as they were sort of darken a bit, trying to kind of comprehend what's going on. The Vargelian does not part with any piece of itself. Every particle in my body, every tissue within my skin is controlled. It is a part of me. For me to separate even the tiniest piece is no different than you abandoning a limb.
You see a puff of smoke leave his mouth, and it's got a little bit of a darker shade red rather than purple. I'm sure a little bit will not harm you, as you see thoughts start to stir a little bit more.
As he finishes a sentence, I kind of interject. Perhaps we've gotten off topic. What's your name? Eddie? May I present it to you like this? If we were to give Or and thus maybe a drip of your ink, or if we were to give them
No.
Okay, but let me finish.
With a surge of confidence that you don't really see, you haven't seen in Oshano, he's standing up straighter. He says, Keegan, this isn't about the goals or the benefits of giving away his
No.
ink. He said,
right.
no, he does not want to give it away, and he will not.
Okay.
I believe our business here is done.
Understand. I understand. But let's go back to the Cipher. I believe that the three of us, Oshanu, Ren, and myself, agree that we could sell this for possibly a profit. But to put it in different terms for you, Eddie, and I do apologize again, Or, for possibly wasting your time here.
And you can see he's kind of calming a little bit, or the puff of smoke turns back to that purple.
I turn to Eddie and I say, perhaps we trade this Cipher for another adventure and another opportunity to go searching for something which may be even more important and more interesting than something you or I have ever discovered before.
I'm sure that can be arranged.
The cipher that I retrieved from the area earlier.
That we retrieved from the area earlier.
Right.
Eddie. And he overhears this Or, and he says, Eddie, there are more wonders in this world than one person can know. For you to spend this much care, this much investment in a single item is folly. I promise you the wonders I can lead you to will vastly improve your understanding of this world, and I know that's something you can value. He puffs smoke in your face.
Perhaps before we come to an agreement, you can tell us, Or, is there anything which you had planned to arrange for us to go find next?
There are always things to be found in the ninth world. There are always Numenera to be sought. I may have a lead or two, and he rubs his fingers together, that you could endeavor to acquire.
And are you just looking for any cipher?
There is one in mind that I think would pique your interest above all others.
Eddie reaches into his backpack and pulls something out and holds it in his hand and says, if you're looking for a cipher to trade, I said I would not trade the one that we've collected, but I'd be more happy to part with this one. And he holds out his hand, and in it is what we know as the small sack that he took from the bug within the one that you said
The little creature.
Yeah, a little creature that would
the
small ball unconscious, small puff.
And he reaches back and gets kind of this cup-like, almost like a gourd. And he reaches out and you place it in and he pulls it. He looks at it and smells it. Oh. Well, I know what this is. Very impressive. Thank you, Eddie. He's clearly trying to appease you. Maybe we can become business associates. keep bringing me things like this, yes, and we may build a relationship, and then you might not feel so disinclined to part with a small sample. I'll send you on a new quest, somewhere to find more items to bring back to me. We can build a relationship, Eddie. Is this something you could see working?
A quest to what end? Exploration is always of my interests. I think
Knowledge, exploration, yes, the wonders that you can behold to learn, Eddie. Is that not what you want? He can
absolutely be more than anything.
Then let me help you, and maybe soon enough you'll help me. Do we have an accord? And he reaches a small hand out towards you.
And I look towards Oshanu, sort of like looking to see, is this the moment where we trust him? With sort of a curious gaze, Eddie sort of looks at you.
And Oshanu looks very unsettled. Just something in the way that this man is speaking. And it looks like he has something up his sleeve. He's never trusted or Orthus to begin with. And so Oshanu turns to Ren. And what is Ren's reaction?
And Ren turns to Keegan.
So while this is going on, is there any way that I could like try and sneak in and steal some money from someone?
Or a cipher?
Oh, there is always an opportunity
cipher
for that type of thing to happen.
Okay, so they're having this intense conversation, and Or is clearly invested, and thus is in a comatose state. So while this is happening, I try to leave, like get around, and do I need to do some sort of like perception or whatever roll to see if I can see any money that I could possibly steal?
He wouldn't have shins lying around. It doesn't.
That's not his deal.
No, but there are plenty of ciphers lying around. I wouldn't say lying around. They are in these storing units that you can examine and you can get a hold of. Obviously, they're separated in a way that you can't grab one without it being far enough away from another that's been taken out, so they can't interact. Very, very precise mechanism. So there is the opportunity to try to steal a cipher, and there are other people shopping who all seem to be carrying purses of shin.
Okay. Purses. You know what? I think about that later, but I'm thinking.
Do it.
Yeah. Okay. I try to pickpocket a few people while we're waiting. To see if
this guy has his hand outstretched, waiting for me to shake it.
Yeah. Well, no, but Oshanu turns and Ren isn't there.
Oh, okay.
And so I guess go ahead and do your thing, David.
Yeah. I'm like, screw this. I've got so much confidence still from the mother's milk that yeah. So
go ahead, roll your pickpocket, I guess, eh?
Yeah, I got a 7.
Okay.
But I have
the pickpocket.
I have a 14 speed, and I'm trained in pickpocketing. And I have, yeah.
Okay. And you didn't use any effort?
No, I probably should have.
Yeah, probably. So, this is a very well-established building. And as soon as you go to take the device...
I'm not looking for the device. I was looking for a device.
Or you're pickpocketing someone.
Yeah, I was trying to pickpocket someone.
Oh, just a random person?
Yeah, just a random person. Yeah, I wasn't trying to go for any ciphers because I already have enough ciphers on me. And the last time,
so there's a man there who looks to be desperate. His eyes look tired. He looks a little sickly. You can hear him cough. And he's looking through devices, clearly looking for something. So distracted that you have no problem to reach into his pocket and pull out his purse. And right just then, he picks up a cipher, and you can see hope in his eyes. And he grabs it, and he carries it to the front to pay for it. And you watch as he looks for his cipher, and he has no more shins. And tears start to form in his eyes, and he begins to weep, and he puts it back and leaves the shop. You get 5 shins.
So while
Was it worth it? No, I'm just kidding.
while that's happening, so Lashano sees the hand outstretched, and I step forward and I say, "We live in a world that I am pleased to say blesses us with opportunities and adventures that seem to arise pretty much daily. From my travels, while Shin has been useful, a good book has led me to better quests than gold. And so I do think, for myself, that we'd be able to find our own adventures." And I say this as I look to Eddie.
And
then
Eddie
back
snaps
to
his head
Thor.
back to Orthus and says, "I suppose then no, we are not interested. Thank you for your time."
Immediately, a puff of red smoke comes out of Or, and thus sits up.
And then Eddie begins walking away.
Get out of my shop now, the big hulking man says. Or you can see kind of cowering a little bit, and thus kind of hits Or in the same way that a young child sometimes hits themselves out of frustration, and hits Or, and Or passes out, and thus stands up and says, "Get out!"
And we head down the steps to the exit. Well, I head down the steps to the exit.
And I leave.
Just out of curiosity, does the cylinder cipher that Eddie has in his backpack, does it have any metal on it?
No, it seems to be some sort of synthesized material.
Okay.
I can't recognize the
Just
material.
curious. So, I walk down to Eddie and I say,
You'll be back. You can hear him yell. You'll be back. You need Orthus. You need Thors.
and I turn to Eddie and I say, as we exit, I say, maybe I was wrong about you. Maybe we can't work together.
Why would you say that?
Well, it doesn't seem like you're very responsive to any of our thoughts or perceptions on the subject. It seems to be only about yourself and what you think is important. And in a team, you can't always just think about yourself.
The reason I didn't shake Orthus's hand was because I looked towards Oshanu, who told me not to trust him. That was my interpretation. Did I misread the room? Did I misunderstand?
Well, I was speaking more of the cipher that we together. And you may have taken it for yourself, but you've forgotten that we were all there, in the same place at the same time, and it could have been any one of us who had taken it. And you seem to be ignoring the possibilities that are sitting there before you. What these other adventurers who are just as capable as yourself, with their own desires and their own loves, seem to have ignored the facts. So,
And I turn to the three, who I'm assuming are now together as well. Ren, you're there?
Yeah, I'm there. Just
And then
kind
I
of
said-
like just looking at my coin purse.
And I turn to the other three and I say, do you all feel this way? Do you feel I have betrayed? It was not my intention.
Not really. That guy's kind of a dick.
If and he removes the cipher from his backpack and he holds it out. When we first met, my understanding was that you wanted to work together. In my misunderstanding of friendship was that all feelings were taken into account, and perhaps you're right, Keegan. Perhaps I didn't take into your feelings. I do not wish to sell this. It goes against my principal values as wanting to be an explorer. But if the three of you feel differently, then I understand. And I actually place the cipher down by my feet and I take a step back.
I am sorry, Keegan. Something came over me while I was in there. I do not quite understand where I had the strength to say what was on my mind, but I have long struggled with the dilemma of wanting to see the world and discover things, and yet needing some way to fund it. And it does feel wrong whenever I find a cipher that is interesting and unique and only one of a kind. It feels wrong to sell it and just for a profit, so that I might find a more unique item. I do think that I agree with Eddie. Now I can see it.
I think perhaps this is, Ren, this is what you spoke of with friendship. I believe I do agree. I think there are founding principles that we agree on. And as Oshantu has his back to me, I sort of totally interrupt the conversation, my own conversation, in fact, and say, hey, there's a glowing stone on the back of your neck. What is it? It is quite interesting to me. And I sort of get very close to you.
What?
On the back of your neck. And I sort of touch it.
And I kind of recoil and I look to the others, like, what is he talking about?
There's a faint blue gem on the back of his neck. Do you want me to pull it off?
And you go to pull it off, but it's actually firm. It's embedded in my neck. And I say, I do not know what you're talking about. And I feel back and my eyes go wide and I kind of go rigid for a second, staring straight ahead. And then my hand comes off of it. And I look around and I say, why are we all standing here like this?
And while you guys are discussing that, and you ask the question, I pick the cipher up and I do place it in my backpack.
I do not know. Are we all discussing something right now? I do not know. Everyone is looking at me.
You had a blue stone on the back of your neck, and you've touched it, and now it seems you've forgotten where you were.
Blue stone. What are you talking? And I touch it again. The same thing happens, and then my hand lowers. What are we doing? Why are we all just standing in the middle of a city?
And I walk behind you, and I look at the stone. And what color is it?
It's still blue. It's glowing a faint.
And I touch it myself.
And when you touch it, it actually flickers a faint red. And then it goes back.
Oh my. What are you two doing?
It's quite interesting.
As
do
you
not
guys
know.
are arguing that, you hear a footsteps. Boom. Boom. And you see behind you, and you've never seen this, Orthus standing there. And you see Or, clearly in pain after being knocked out by Thus. Back in control, though. What if I told you? What if I told you about Graydon?
The city of Graydon? I'm questing for it currently. I'd be very much interested in it.
Would we have an accord then? And he reaches his hand back out.
I'm not too sure what you meant by accord. You wish to put your hand out. This is the second time you've done it.
You agree that after you run a few errands for me, and then I have a sample, a small sample of you, I will tell you about the city of Graydon.
Listen, or these are now my friends, and I look at each of them. And we are not going to make a decision unless we all agree on that decision. And so let us think on that and come back to you with all due respect.
You can see it was taxing on him to get up and walk all this way over here to speak to you. The rolls of flesh overhanging his lower body and the hulking mass.
Obviously,
Yes.
you would not have.
This is a big decision, I understand. But if you look for answers, I will still be there. And he points back to his shop and begins to turn away.
Thank you for your time, Thus.
Keegan, do you wish to sell the Cipher? I don't understand. You told me that I was going against the wishes of the party, but it seems Ushanu does not want to sell it either, and yet you've taken the Cipher from the ground. I find your actions of the four of you quite peculiar. And Ushanu, why do you change personalities and forget what we were talking about when you touch the stone on the back of your neck?
I do not know what you are talking about.
And I'm going to roll an intellect on the back of his neck. It's a 16. Oh, and I have a trained in Numenera, if that benefits anything.
Yeah, I'll lower it by 1 tier.
Cool.
Justin,
Yeah.
he knows a little bit about it. I want you to reveal some information, but not a whole story.
Okay. So this odd gem on the back of my neck. It is my oddity, and you're right. It is kind of like a mood ring of some sort. It changes color depending on something having to do with me. And you've heard of these things that are attached to people that they have no recollection of them on them, but they do change colors at times.
And I touch it until it goes red. And I walk in front of Ishanu and I say, Ishanu, how do you feel about shins and the accumulation of shins?
Oh, shins. Shins are great. I love shins.
Yes. And I reach around and I touch the back of him and I say, Ishanu, how do you feel about shins and the accumulation of shins?
I do believe that shins sometimes can blind a man before other important things in his life.
How peculiar. Keegan, Ren, listen, I think we need to come to a consensus. I've told you many times that I feel like the exploration and the discovery of ciphers warrant not selling them. I have no problem parting with those that are simpler in terms, collected from beasts and creatures, but things of ancient power, such as this one, this beacon, to me they're very special, and I do not wish to part from them. If this is a sever in our relationship, then I understand it. However, if it is not, I wish to take it back and collect it.
How have you been exploring thus far? Where are you getting your funds from?
Funds?
How are you able to maintain this lifestyle? How are you able to survive in this world?
Well, it's quite easy. I can create water when I need it. I pull out a book from my back, edible plants and animals and other, and I say, the ninth world creates many splendors for us to feast on and eat. It is not hard.
Eddie, one of the things about friendships is trust, and you know, the reason I picked up the Cipher off the ground was not to sell it behind your back and not to take it from anybody, but rather just to keep it from any of these passerbys, to pick it up maybe accidentally on a purpose, to keep it safe. I'm not going to make a decision with this Cipher because we collected it together. And I don't believe that if it's against your beliefs, you should be collected, your body. So nothing's going to be done unless we all can agree on it. However, I feel that I agree with you, and some of the more important ciphers should not be simply sold for money, but perhaps, like I mentioned before, they can be traded for information on even more important ciphers, ones that we don't even know what this may do, but ones that people have been looking for quite some time. We don't know what sort of information Orthus has. He may be directing us to something which nobody's been able to find, even more difficult to find than the cipher we recently picked up. And I hope you understand that this is a relationship that I've been watching the three of you over some time. And I chose the three of you because I thought you all trustworthy and intelligent and with special abilities to all your own great benefit.
That very well, and I understand. For the Vellin culture, trust is something that is earned, and I think I respect the three of you enough to trust you. Giving you the cipher is a signal of that trust, and because of which I will follow that feeling through.
Good. So we're on the same
Okay.
page then.
I feel like we should get moving. I think we're all agreed that we can be a team, and it seems like we can eat enough plants to continue to survive. What with Eddie's book here,
Well,
all I know is that I think Orthus is going to get angrier and angrier by the minute, and that we need to move.
the question is, if he does have knowledge about Graydon, that should be our goal. It is a very powerful place. However, I must tell you, I cannot part with any instance of my body. No tissue, no sample can be given to him in any way.
Well, we have two options, it seems to me, and you guys can disagree with me if you like, bring up other points, but we can either, comply with one of two of Orthus's requests, and that is the cipher, which we recently found, or a piece of Eddie's body, which he doesn't seem too keen on trading.
And Eddie sort of, again, looks down, pained.
This is not an ultimatum. We can always walk away as well.
There are other ways of gaining information, albeit more risky ways.
No, you're right. When we entered this town, I agreed. I agreed with the idea that Ren put forth, that the four of us should work together. And friendship is an odd idea for someone of my kind. But the truth is that nothing would make me happier than to work with you three together. And if that means giving up certain principles, so long as I don't need to part with a part of myself, I think that is fair. And while it is against my feelings, if you choose to sell it for information, I will understand. Perhaps if we earn enough shins, we can buy it back at some point. And Eddie sort of turns away and says, do what you must. I think I would only upset the gentleman more if I were there. I'll meet you in the oasis when you are done with your deed. Regardless of how you choose, I understand. And he begins walking towards the oasis.
And I turn to Ren and Oshanu, looking for their response. Thoughts? You wanted to sell it right off the bat, Oshanu. Shall we proceed?
I do think that the shins could definitely come in handy for our future endeavors.
After you inspected it, after you inspected the cipher, did you find any particulars any reason why we should not sell it?
Well, the only thing is what I told you is that there is a chance that as a beacon, it might summon some sort of weapon. And if it gets into the hands of the wrong person, it might cause suffering to lots of people, maybe even us. I do not know.
Yes, but our dealings with Orthus in the past have shown that he's of a fairly stand-up being, and I don't think he'll be selling it to anybody who could do much harm. Although he can certainly protect them.
I do think I agree with you. What do you think, Ren?
Honestly, I will side with the group. Whatever you guys decide to do. My morality is a little bit fluid. You know that about me, Oshanu.
That's what I like about you. Because I change my mind so often. A few times every 3
The
hours.
best kind of friend who can back you up on anything.
A few times every 3 hours. That's funny.
As long as I know that the end goal stays the same.
So what has the party decided to do? Let's get to that.
Yeah.
You guys decide to do?
I walk back in with the cipher in hand to Orthus. Is Or awake now or no?
He seems to be back to his regular business. Clearly a little bit miffed, but back to things of regular things. As you walk back, you do notice something that you might have been too busy to notice earlier. There seems to be a lot more sick people in Pandora. People sitting on the curb, and you notice the fruits and vegetables that are sold here are looking, well, unappetizing. They're looking a little rotted. But you do approach Orthus, and he sees you again. What is it? Have you changed your mind, perhaps?
Yes, we have. But I'll tell you, Or, thus, we're not prepared to give up this cipher unless you're going to give us something really good in return. And I mean really good. This can't be just any information that you give any traveler. We've banded. I'll tell you this much, though. You will not be receiving any of the DNA from the Vellin that we have with us.
Then he shall not learn about his home city. Fine, I will tell you something in return for this device. he grabs the device. Are you like holding it to him?
Yeah.
He
And
grabs it. He looks at it.
I'm looking for that confirmation that this is going to be something that he wouldn't tell just any other traveler.
It's practically worthless. I can't believe I'm telling you this.
Worthless?
In hopes that you return with your friend, perhaps we can continue our dialogue.
Okay.
There's a rumor. And he pulls out a map and it digitally creates, and you see the town you're in, and he scrolls. And he points out a spot unmarked on the map. Here, at this location, there is a cipher that will help find and locate other ciphers. I don't know how it does it. It's just rumor. But the people who have went there before to try to attain it for me were unsuccessful. So I look to you three, and hopefully Eddie, will join you, and you will be successful. And with that, we may bond, and I may be able to learn more about him.
So I take note of what he says, and with a flick of the wrist, I toss the cipher to him.
He grabs it and puts it down, clearly not very impressed with it. And with that...
And, of course, the shins that you promised.
He pays you. And with that, I think we should end before you go on to your next mission.
All right!
How many shins did we get paid there?
5, because you
paid.
negotiated, so I give you the standard.
5
Eddie's
shins?
sitting at the Oasis drinking a really strong drink by himself. You get to participate in the end.
David was like, I'm out of here, guys. Peace.
Yeah.
Did I understand that correctly? 5 shins?
Oh, you got ripped off big time.
What the fuck?
Don't you
For a bottle
understand? This
of
was
shit.
all to drive up the price. This was my negotiation tactic. No. Thank you so much, Chris, for Numenera. As you can tell, this one's not just going to be a one-off. This might roll over for a few weeks. So thank you, David, for coming back.
Wait for it.
There he is, David!
Welcome back, David.
I missed it.
Yeah, well, I missed it too. I was in the bar. I wasn't even in the last scene. It just ended. Thank you so much to Chris for running back in Numenera. So happy to be back in this fantastic world. Thank you to these guys below me. Most importantly, thanks to you guys for hanging out, shooting the shit. Of course, we always end the game with Endgame XP, and I think I want to give it to at least someone that I thought was really useful. Oh, who thought of Mother's Milk?
Oh.
That was a good one. I think we should go to that person.
Mark Lane, I believe.
Mark Lane? Of course. Mark Lane is a clever guy. He's got all the cool quips. I think it was Mark Lane, yeah.
Quips of the trade.
Quips of the trade. Yeah, we're going to give it to him because I'm almost positive it was him. I think I remember seeing. So, well, we're going to give it to him. So, Mark Lane, you win Endgame XP. It was clever. It was a good fitting name. It ran right into the game, and it made sense, and it just sounded really cool. So,
For sure.
love the throwback to Quaid, or not Quaid. What's his name?
Quato.
Quato lives.
Oh, yeah.
That was really, really cool. No, very, very fun. Very excited to get back in this world and continue playing with this. So we'll see when the next game is. Hopefully sooner rather than later. But thank you guys for hanging out. Thank you again to Chris for playing. Fantastic.
Thank you guys. I had fun being GM. Thank you.
Yeah. We had fun with you being GM. I will
It's
say
always
that
nice
much.
to do characters. All right. Well, that is it from us. You guys have a fantastic Wednesday night. Have a fantastic weekend, which is coming up shortly. And we're going to see you back here for Wednesday stream next week. I will not be doing a spooky stream this Friday night, just a heads up. So you guys have a fantastic night. And as Chris always likes to say,
We'll see you around the table.
see you around the table, guys. Good night.